the Dodgers and the Mets last night. Dodgers just sticking it to the Mets, pouring it on 8-0 for the Dodgers last night. They go up 2-1 in that series, Preston, and it feels like we're baby stepping, although 2-1 there, 2-0 in Yankees Guardians, who will play later this afternoon. We're baby stepping toward that kind of nostalgic, iconic World Series, Dodgers, Yankees, East Coast, West Coast, Tupac versus Biggie. However you want to start to break it down, whichever old school analogy you need, it feels like we're stepping toward that. And I will admit, if you want me to watch the World Series and be fully invested, unlike last year, was it you and I who did this the other day with somebody? We were talking about the World Series, and somebody said, well, name who. No, I was at lunch with people, and we were discussing the World Series, and they said, name the two teams that were in the World Series last year. Can you do it?
Arizona.
And the winner. Who was the winner? Pitcher for the Gamecocks was the key player there that went to Arizona. No. Jordan Montgomery and the Rangers.
Yes. Okay. I do remember. I slightly remember the Rangers.
But did you watch an inning, a singular inning?
No, I was out. You know, I exited stage left as soon as the Braves lost to the Phillies. I was like, all right, I'm good on this.
But I would watch the Dodgers I'd be fully invested. I mean, if Major League Baseball wanted to find a way to really promote their sport, there's no better way than to have Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge facing off against each other in the World Series. That would be perfect. And as I mentioned, as I was watching, I think Tuesday night, they did have it was a playoff commercial, all about the playoffs, not about the World Series. But those were the only two guys they showed.
You also just made me realize that this is going to be maybe a golden opportunity for little brother to annoy big brother, because my brother is a Yankee fan.
Oh.
So now I can jump on my Dodgers bandwagon and just annoy the crap out of him. So this might be a great opportunity.
We may even have to check in with well-known Dodger fanatic Kevin McCrary.
Okay.
K-Mac. K-Mac and his blue Dodgers hat. We may have to track him down. I used to do radio shows with him, and there was always some kind of Dodger segment. So, K-Mac, wherever you're at out there this morning, I hope you're doing well. And I know he's happy as the Dodgers last night. Again, 8-0 over the Mets in some Major League Baseball playoffs. Again, today you'll have 2 games, and it's become one of my favorite things, Preston, when we can get afternoon baseball, late afternoon baseball, and today we get it again, Yankees and Indians, not Guardians, and most importantly, former Gamecock Clark Schmidt takes to the mound at 5:08 this afternoon for the Yankees to see if he can go up 3-0 over the Indians.
Yeah, I'm cheering for that. Let's go ahead and get this thing going. Let's get LA. Let's get Dodgers, Yankees. Let's get this thing going.
So, and again, Dodgers and Mets tonight, 8 o'clock on FS1. Again, Dodgers looking to go up 3-1 in that series. Had some college football last night. They were college teams that were playing. That's about all I can say. Sam Houston State, they get waxed 31-14. I can't believe I fell into some kind of trap of watching that a little bit to the favorite uniform combos of Western Kentucky that you have so thoroughly enjoyed.
The Hilltoppers, Big Red.
31-14 in that contest as Western Kentucky rolls over Sam Houston State. And then UTEP, how about those Fighting Miners? I think they're Miners still. I'm not real sure, to be honest. But, yeah, the UTEP Miners pick up their first victory of the season. If you were so inclined to stay up last night and watch them knock off Florida International, good for you. And also, let's get you on air to discuss some hobbies that you need to have in your life. If you stayed up watching UTEP and Florida International, we'll try and help get you living the right way, because if you watch that, you are not living the right way. So a lot there. Again, we'll get into that. Clayton White and Dowell Loggins spoke yesterday, and we'll get into that a little bit this morning as it pertains to what they had to say. Dowell Loggins a little bit more chipper, but he also got into something that we stumbled down the path of yesterday with the quarterback running back exchange and them having to work on that, Preston.
Yeah, I mean, Perry was awesome on the show yesterday. He did a great job of talking about offense from a quarterback's perspective, and lo and behold, many of the same things that he talked about. I don't know if maybe Dow was listening to our show and he heard Perry and he's like, that's pretty good. Let me use that in my press conference. But there were some similar things, so I think it's worth coming back and having that discussion.
We got a lot we'll get into this morning. Chris Plank will join us. Chris Plank with the Oklahoma Sooner Radio Network. He does a show out there from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. That'll be Central Time. But he's going to join us at about 7:30 this morning. there's a lot. We may keep him for 2 segments. I've pre-warned him because, number one, we need to talk about Oklahoma and what is going on out there with the Sooners. I think I saw a report somewhere that Jackson Arnold now may even be in line for a red shirt this year, that they're considering doing that with him. But we'll catch up with Chris Plank on that. And also, for those of you going out there, we don't know what Norman, there is no reason for us to know unless you've had business trips to know what to do in Norman.
Shane alluded to a little bit in his press conference. He talked about a couple of restaurants that maybe the family might be going to and revisiting since they've been out there. But other than that, I really have no visual picture of what Norman is like.
Unfortunately, mine is centered completely around, and I don't even know if it was in Norman or where it really took place. This is where, again, my movie buffoonery stands out at its best. If you ask me about Norman, Oklahoma, I'm like, yeah, it's where they filmed. What's the movie with the Wicked Witch of the West? This is even worse. What's the movie Wicked Witch of the West and the girl that lands in the lollipop land and the come on. You two know.
I'm just making you sweat.
I know. I really.
The Wizard of Oz?
Wizard of Oz.
No, what happened to me was I was like, is he talking about a different movie? I was like,
can't be that hard. I mean, there's Wicked as well.
Yes, which is coming out in November, and a lot of people are excited about the motion picture.
It looks really good. I've seen the Broadway show, but I'm really excited about absolutely.
All right. Well, the Wizard of Oz. So if you ask me, Norman, Oklahoma, it's just the entire beginning of that movie that's in the black and the white. Just.
I have a friend who actually sold beverages. Was like a beverages distributor down there. So I saw pictures of his house and things like that. That's my visual of Norman.
I don't have no idea. I have nothing.
I don't. I literally don't either. Like I said, mine is literally Norman, Oklahoma is portrayed in black and white. Sometime when you land on the plane out there, you go from color to black and white out there, and that's just all Norman, Oklahoma is. So we'll catch up with Chris Plank and get his thoughts, not just on Oklahoma. There's I don't think
there's flying monkeys out there.
Could be.
I don't know. Just thinking about it,
I know.
Spurring thoughts just popping in my head.
Put a thought in your head to start the morning. But Chris Plank with the Oklahoma Sooner Radio Network will join us. Also, Brian Edwards of Vegas Insider. And, of course, Josh Harris, Darlington Raceway president, will join us at about 8:30 this morning as Preston Thorne continuing to make his move on Reggie Anderson and see if he can track him down and claim the trophy, which is now, not only is it back here in the building, it has made its way into the studio. It has gone from the Gunner household to Jen's producer studio and is now actually on the table with us here. So we'll get into all of that. Also, yesterday, Preston being from Summerville, Jen being from the Midwest. Jen, I hate to say, I'm not even sure what small Midwestern town you're from in Illinois.
It's really harsh.
She's from Illinois, from really harsh Illinois. So there you go. I did not know that.
I'm a little bit north of Hoopston.
I knew you weren't.
Corn jerkers.
That's right. That's the only town to remember that, and Frankfort, Indiana, where they have the Frankfurters. So that's a good thing too. Now we were the Moments Redskins. So
the what?
Moments.
You're from Moments.
Moments. CE, correct.
CE.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So, but being
I'm with the Gladfest.
Being from right here in town and having been on the show, and actually my grandfather, actually having been good friends with Joe Penner, I saw yesterday WIS had a Remembering Mr. Knows It Day at the fair yesterday. It was a little nostalgic last night watching WIS and the great people over there at WIS remember Joe Penner, who was such a big part of the community here in Columbia. The Mr. Knows It show, which again, as I mentioned, I got to be on. I think probably a lot of you listening, if you're probably somewhere between about 38 and 52, 54, you probably ended up on that show somehow. I think they had every kid here in the Midlands, Preston and Jen, that would be on that show. But Joe Penner, an absolutely incredible gift to the Midlands. And I saw that yesterday, and I wanted to just mention that because, again, for a lot of you that are probably listening that are in about our age range and maybe a little bit older, if you ever ran into Joe Penner, one of the nicest, sweetest guys that you could ever meet and get to know, and I thought that was really, really cool of what WIS did yesterday. Preston, I'm sure somewhere back in Charleston, Summerville, y'all had a particular news guy or kind of community guy like that. We have a bunch of them. We're very blessed here in Columbia to have a lot of them. Same thing with you, Jen. But Mr. Penner, Mr. Knows It, Joe Penner, I saw that yesterday. Did want to just mention that. And awesome man. And again, was a friend of our families, but just an incredible person. And not sure if you two ever really got to meet him or know him. Jen, you've been down here a while, so.
I actually did some things with him. I traveled to Orlando with him one time for Children's Miracle Network when we did radiothons with another radio station here. And that was a great chance to kind of get to know him a little bit because I wasn't here for all the Mr. Knows It stuff. And just a super, and he remembers things. There was a binder, that special notebook that our station had given him years ago. And man, he had that on the trip. He said, I remember when you guys gave this to me. I mean, he didn't know a stranger.
No.
Yeah, super guy.
No, he didn't. His show was on from 1963 to 2000. And again.
Oh, that's a run.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't realize it'd been quite that long because I was here in 2000.
Yeah. It was unique. And I saw that again. Wanted to mention that this morning, just take a few minutes. And I saw yesterday he had his family on, which was really cool. And he never met a stranger. That was true. So just thoughts there, even though his passing has taken place a little while ago. But yesterday, cool thing from WIS to honor him out there at the fair with Joe Penner Day, Mr. Knows It Day, remembering him. So really cool there. Thank you to all the people at WIS who did that yesterday and honored him. So we'll get into some football, though. Something that we got into yesterday. Maybe we discovered it. Maybe Dow Loggins was listening. I wonder what those morons over at the early game were saying. Ooh, quarterback, running back exchange. Maybe I should look at that a little bit closer. And he talked about it. We'll get into that.
I think I have a new job for Perry because you were saying that maybe the coach had been listening to Perry or something. Perry Presser Prep.
Ooh.
Or Perry's Presser Prep. I think there's a new business for him. He can get the coaches ready. I'm trying to help him out.
We can't mess up that slogan, can we?
I think it's phenomenal.
I can't get tongue twisted and tongue tied and say something completely inappropriate. You never know on this show. We'll give it a shot.
We can.
We'll give it a run for its money. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It's the early game.
A little bit busy out there this morning already. A couple incidences we need to bring to your attention. Shop Road at Pineview Drive, also I-26 westbound between exits 110 and 108. So between Sunset Boulevard and I-126, there is an accident on I-26 westbound. Cooler temps will continue today. 65 for the high. The overnight low tonight, 39. So another cool morning. And tomorrow have a high of 72. We'll get into the mid-70s for the weekend. So we'll welcome that. And possibly by the middle of next week, might pop up to 80. Currently, though, a little bit breezy and 42 on the early game.
Remind you about our brand new craft beer card. It has arrived and it is only $59. You can save around $300. Just go to 1075thegame.com, click on Sweet Deals today, and pick up your brand new craft beer card. Just $59. Go to 1075thegame.com, click on Sweet Deals, and you can purchase your new craft beer card today. Yesterday, though, Dowell spoke. We spoke first. Boy, are we going to take advantage of that. We spoke and we dug into a little bit of what appears to be an exchange, maybe an exchange issue between Lenora Sellers, maybe Robbie Ashford, because it occurred to both of them, and Rocket Sanders. And Preston, you played with a guy, Corey Jenkins, who did utilize that exchange, the mesh, as Perry Worth called it. Although I think maybe during y'all's time, I know you weren't an offensive guy, there was maybe more option. We talked to Terry Ford the other day about the pitch play, unfortunately, in 2002 between Corey Jenkins and Andrew Pennick that didn't go correctly. But I think y'all did more option pitches, correct?
Yeah, they had some zone read. They had some zone read stuff that they were doing at the time, and it was early in that game, so there was a little bit of that. I don't think they were as advanced in the zone read game as far as who they were reading. You know, Perry got into him being able to do one aspect of zone read game, but the other aspect he just couldn't get his hands around. So I think obviously it's advanced as everything does, but he's talked about the exchange. And what was really interesting about what Perry said yesterday is I think we, and I include all of us because I've never played quarterback before, so we as the layman automatically assumed that it was a quarterback issue because it's a quarterback stat. But Perry gave us a little bit more insight, and he just put a little clue out there. He said, well, I'll be interested to see who was the running back. And at least for me, a light bulb went off, and I was like, oh, yeah, there is another half of that exchange, which may be where more of the issue is, or some of the issue is. Not more, but some.
And again, if you think about the Mississippi game and you think about the Alabama game, those are two pivotal fumbles. I mean, we've talked about in the Mississippi game the questionable decision to go for the punt, the fake punt. But if you remember the following series, South Carolina's moving the ball back down the field. It's 7-0. The crowd's still in it. Everything's kind of going. You're moving the ball. South Carolina, as Dowell had crossed, as Dowell had pointed out, had crossed the 50 and is moving it down. And it seemed like on that particular play was a good play call. A little bit maybe of trickery, maybe not, because I think they lined up in a very different formation, kind of almost a diamond around Robbie Ashford. And it seemed like it might have worked, at least from my vantage point where I was sitting watching the Mississippi game. It seemed like Ashford had a big hole up the middle he could burst through, and who knows what he would have been able to do. But if you rewatch it, it's on the exchange that the ball is not cleanly taken out, and he loses it, and he fumbles it forward. Almost trying to explain this without you being able to see it this morning as you're trying to get ready to go to work or drop kids off. It's almost like as he's ripping it back out, he almost throws the ball forward because it's not clean, and he loses the ball. Last week, look, I think there's a lot of game-defining plays from last week. So many odd things that happened just in the fourth quarter alone. The way South Carolina was moving it, and I've said it again, after that interception by O'Donnell Fortune, Alabama, that crowd was on the mat. They were out. They were out. That was the equivalent of the referee was about to slap 3 in a wrestling match, and somebody grabbed his foot from behind him, and he didn't know what had happened, so he didn't slap 3. And by the time he turned around, the bad guy had regained consciousness and was back in the match. That's exactly what that's like. Lenore Sellers, if they hold on to that, I think South Carolina goes down and scores. South Carolina's offense had kind of figured things out. I think South Carolina goes down and scores and goes up 26-14, and the knockout blow would have been delivered. But let's listen. Here is Dowell Loggins, Preston, and we'll see what we take. This is a long clip. It's about 2.5 minutes. But this is Dowell Loggins talking about correcting fumbles and what he is seeing. Here's what he said.
Well, you start talking about the technique of things. It's not watching the film. It's making sure that one of them is an exchange, that happened. Now, here's what bothers us. The week before, Robbie and Rocket had the same exchange issue. All right, so we talk about repeat offenders. So now you got to take what happened in that situation and correct it. Now, we didn't do a good enough job, obviously, because we had the same exact thing happen the next week with Lenore and Rocket. So from that standpoint, it's emphasizing that more. We watched the turnovers, and one of them, like I said, was an exchange, and the other one was, I just mentioned myself, overcoaching, not taking sacks. And he's trying to do what his coach asked him to do and throw the ball away when he's in the grasp. So me understanding, be a better coach, and then making sure that we get enough. The biggest fear I had when we decided now you talk about more schematically change the offense where there is more quarterback run game. Last year I thought we did a good job of eliminating turnovers. Well, now there's more exchange issues. There's more things going on with zone reads and triple options. So the ball's in jeopardy more naturally. Making sure that we understand that it's strong hands through the mesh with the quarterback. He's got from his back hip to his front hip to make a decision with strong hands in those meshes. And, the good thing for Mike Shula helps me some with the QBs, and they had my experiences with Vince Young and some of the guys I've had his experience with Cam, and you just keep doing it. You keep working it, and it's not secret outside that being good with technique, making sure that you don't do the same mistake twice, which we did. So shame on us as a coaching staff and myself, really, not no one else, to correct that, and then you attack it with everything you have to fix that thing, because it can't keep happening now, because we are going to continue to do what we do schematically, and there are going to be there's more ball handling than ever before. So that's part of it, but it can't be. Sometimes you say, hey, that's the cost of doing business. That's not. The ball on the ground one time is too many. So it's making sure that we're putting Lenore in a situation, that we're practicing the right things, that we're emphasizing the right techniques, and that we're putting him in these situations where sometimes when you go over to ball handling, it's just, hey, it's just it's the running back and the quarterback, and they're doing that, but we're putting guys over there make a read, we're making a second pitch, we're swiping at the ball, we're doing all those things to make sure we put him in a situation to be successful.
It's a lot there, and we're going to maybe need to go back and replay that. We'll probably replay it at some point again this morning, Preston, because there's a lot there. And he talks about the mesh point, and he points out, there's a running back in there that is the same factor on both of those fumbles. And those aren't the only two. They've had a few issues with that this year.
The common denominator, right? The common denominator from all these different issues is the running back. Obviously, you still want that. You're not saying that it is his issue, but obviously there is something different about the way he approaches that mesh point as opposed to maybe other players, and they have to get that fixed.
Well, and here's the funny thing about this. I'd have to go back and look, and I didn't do this yesterday, but how he and KJ Jefferson did it at Arkansas. And also, as I was talking to somebody yesterday, they just asked me, and I was like, I don't know. I have no idea. Lenore Sellers is taller than Robbie Ashford. How much does that matter when you've got kind of and KJ Jefferson was taller, where that ball placement is? It sounds stupid, but I think it's a legit question, because this seems odd that it's happening. And I say not odd, like it's part of football, but there seems to be something there that is causing this for guys who have done it the majority of their football lives.
Yeah, they've done this a lot, and they do it over and over and over again during practice, and it's something's not translating in the game when it consistently happens. It seems to me from hearing Perry talk, from hearing Dowell talk, that it's the quarterback's responsibility, but something is getting lost in translation between the multiple quarterbacks and rocket as
At
far as
least
being the
rocket,
one running back.
And it also, there's been other times where other guys have taken it and bobbled it a little bit and managed. I think Oscar Attaway had one in a game. We'll continue talking about that. We will get into some Clayton White as well. Talking about Kyle Kennard. What a season Kennard is having. We'll talk about that. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It is the early game. Bill Gunner for Old Timey Meat Market, where let me tell you, you hear me talk each and every day about the incredible cuts of beef, pork, poultry, incredible seafood, the steaks, the cheddar burgers. Well, let me also tell you guys, Christmas is not too far away. And if you go out there and you look at that backyard grill or smoker, it might be about time for you to get a new one. That grill always needs to be working properly. And at Old Timey Meat Market, they have got an incredible line of Traeger grills that allow you to enjoy the flavors of your food that are only unlocked with real smoke. Now, you need to go by one of the 3 locations and check out their grill. Start planning ahead. Put it in that significant other's mind that maybe this Christmas you want a new Traeger grill. So stop by one of the 3 old-timey meat market locations. Not only will you find the incredible cuts of food, but you'll find some great grills as well. The Irmo location, South Congaree or Lexington, where you're pretty much guaranteed to run into me. Stop by Old Timey Meat Market today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
Highway 6 near Old Eastover Road, we have a report of an accident there. Also, shop at Pineview Drive, so Shop Road at Pineview. And on I-26 westbound, if you're headed that direction between Sunset Boulevard and I-126, you may find a slowdown. So an accident there between exit 110 and 108 on I-26 westbound. That forecast going to warm up a little bit today. 65, that overnight low. Another cool morning. 39 for that overnight low. 72 tomorrow. 74 on Saturday. 76 on Sunday. So pretty nice fall weather coming up. 42 currently on the early game.
.35 as we roll along here on your Thursday morning, getting excited for some football tonight. And also, you can hear Carolina Calls with Shane Beamer tonight. Shane Beamer, Todd Ellis, right here, 107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. That'll be at 6 o'clock, and at 7:30 tonight, you can hear Spencer Rattler's second NFL start. Broncos and Saints, little pregame action here on 107.5 The Game starting at 7:30, and that'll lead you up to the Broncos traveling to the Saints tonight, where you can flip on or listen to Spencer Rattler's second NFL start of his career. We'll talk maybe a little bit more about that later on this morning as well. But talking Gamecock football, getting ready for Oklahoma now. And a game that yesterday, Preston Thorne, you pointed out statistically. Woo, daddy. Oklahoma, not good at the offensive playing of football right now.
Yeah, if you weren't here yesterday, just some of these numbers. Out of 134 teams, Oklahoma is not good in a lot of categories. 128th in yards per play, 129th in third down conversion percentage, 133rd in yards in what we consider explosive plays. Neither quarterback has thrown for over 200 yards, and they have not had a 100-yard rusher. Those are just a few of the offensive statistics from Oklahoma yesterday.
Last season, Preston Thorne, South Carolina registered just 21 sacks. 21 total. Remember, if you remember, we were doing this in the preseason. One of the things we talked about was like, last year South Carolina gave up 42 sacks in the season, which basically led the SEC, not in the good way. And they had 21 sacks, which was almost dead last in the conference in terms of being able to generate pressure on the quarterback. This year, however, with the help of Kyle Kennard, South Carolina has been able to do a lot better on the season. Do you, just out of curiosity, I mentioned 21. Do you know how many sacks the Gamecocks already have this season?
Total?
Yes.
I'm going to say a snippet under 12.
Oh, you're way off.
Really?
19.
Wow.
Kyle Kennard by himself.
I was like, he probably got 5.5 at least.
Kennard has 7.5. And we mentioned this, I think, Monday. Kennard is he's over halfway to breaking Jadeveon Clowney's season sack total. Clowney, I believe it was 12. I'd have to go back and look. For some reason, 13 is bouncing around my brain.
Kyle's at 7.5?
Kyle Kennard is at 7.5 right now on the season. That's the season. That's what he's having. You talk about bringing in a transfer, an impact transfer. Kyle Kennard has had it. Yesterday, Clayton White talked about I tell you what, Jen, I'm going to throw you a curveball real quick because we got to do this every time Clayton White speaks. Let's get number one, the opening statement, because nobody gives a better opening statement than Clayton White. Let's just get you all in a good, fuzzy mood before we get into the serious talk. Here's Clayton White's opening statement yesterday.
Yes, good afternoon. Hope you guys are doing great. Would like to review the game, obviously, from last week. Obviously, it was a heartbreaking loss for the Gamecocks. Defensively, we have some good, bad, and ugly things that we did in the football game. I think the most important thing is that we got to learn from all three of those, the good, bad, and the ugly, and just find a way to make sure we finish ball games and make sure we find a way to get a win. And I think our guys had the right mindset of attacking this week and starting on Sunday. Like I said, you come in here good, bad, win or loss, you got to address them in a certain way. And I like the mindset. We're still trying to attack. But obviously, we got to go up to Oklahoma. Big SEC ball game on the road. Looking forward to it.
I feel like he works on that on Tuesday nights. Just stands in front of the mirror for an hour because he's not holding a card. But it sounds scripted. And it's like he got confused on the good, bad, ugly and went one more time in there.
He was just like, I know I got to put it in here one more time, but let me try and get it in here.
Coach, we appreciate you and enjoy hearing that. Well, let's hear actually what something seriously talked about. You talk about bringing in a transfer, and real quick, South Carolina's going to defensively have to hit the transfer portal this offseason. This is Clayton White yesterday talking about what he saw from Kyle Kennard at Georgia Tech.
Well, when we watched his tape, we saw a guy who found a way to get to the quarterback. He has a nice, speed to power rush that we felt like we needed some a force on the edge. We knew that we had a couple of new freshmen coming in that could play for us. Weren't sure in January. So obviously we just finished a season where we weren't good at sacks and TFL. So that was a primary focus for us in this offseason, was to make sure we got another guy that can come help. And then we got Gil. We knew JT was coming back healthy, and we had a freshman coming in, and we had Elijah Davis, and we had a couple guys that we knew that was gonna. BT was back, so healthy, feeling better than he did last year. We felt like the more the better. The more the better for us, and then we figured things out, how to get him here and all that stuff. But it was a big deal, and it's how I saw him fit in our defense, is being a strong side defensive end, playing the run and pass, what he's doing.
I'd have to go back and look at kind of what he said and break down a couple of those guys. But Preston, you hear him talking there about Kyle Kennard and then just adding depth at that defensive end position.
Well, I think, at least from my understanding, when they brought in Kyle, it was more so as a depth piece. Like, we're going to have another guy to throw into the mix.
Exactly, yeah.
Be part of the, this is a good, solid pickup. And by far, he's been so good that, people are maybe a little bit over their skis, but is he the best transfer pickup that the Shane Beamer era has had? You could possibly start making an argument. Obviously, Spencer Rattler was great, but 7.5 sacks is nothing to seize that for a season with over half the season to go. And he's been tremendous, not only on the field, but by all accounts, he's been a leadership presence off the field also. So they hit a home run with getting Kyle in the transfer portal. And this is ideally the best case scenario of what you want when you get somebody in the transfer portal.
You make a great point on that, the way he maybe is able to mentor Dylan Stewart a little bit more, and the way he's able to kind of show off a work ethic. I think one thing that's happened with Dylan Stewart, because I've seen this kicked around on social media, Dylan Stewart, statistically speaking, has struggled. Didn't register. I don't think he registered much, if anything, this past weekend. I could be wrong on that, but I want to say across the board it was zeros. But that doesn't mean that he's not having an impact and helping out Kyle Kennard. We'll come back to Dylan Stewart in just a second. But here is yesterday Clayton White on how Dylan Stewart is helping Kyle Kennard create those statistics. Number 7, Jen.
I think they help each other. I think other guys around on our defense also, our inside interior guys help just as much as Dylan. I think our guys on the inside really are doing a good job on one-on-one pass rush opportunities. I think they've all won a couple this year, and I think Tonka got home the other day, a one-on-one. That has a lot to do with Dylan and Kyle, and Kyle's sacks has a lot to do with Tonka, TJ Boogie, and the guys on the inside. So it all goes hand in hand, but I think having Dylan and the attention that he got early probably created some double teams for him, and then you go one way, it's like robbing Peter to play Paul. So that's fun, but people can't forget about the guys we have on the inside.
I'm going back real quick to verify. I know what I'm going to say. You talk about one guy maybe not registering the numbers that he was expected to, but helping another guy. And this is just a perfect example. I think it was Jadeveon Clowney's junior year. Coming off of the monster sophomore year, the hit and everything that he had. If people remember, what happened in that junior year is Jadeveon Clowney at times was getting triple teamed. All kinds of things were happening. That opened the door for Kelsey Quarles to have 9.5 sacks that year and be 4th all-time in sacks in a season. And by the way, Clowney, again, number 1 there with 13 sacks in a season in 2012. Andrew Province and Melvin Ingram both had 10 in a season. They're tied for second. And Kelsey Quarles, again, had 9.5 in a season to be 4th all-time in sacks in a season, not for a career. But goes to show you there what Jadeveon Clowney allowed Kelsey Quarles to do, and maybe what Dylan Stewart, because of that great start, is helping right now Kyle Kennard.
Yeah, and it all works together. I always bring this up. I remember Cleveland Pinckney when he played nose guard here, and he was tremendous, but he would have games on end where he would have zero statistics and be grading out like 96, 97% and just dominating on the inside and allowing Kalimba Edwards and some of those other guys to get free. So it all works hand in hand when you're working with the interior linemen.
We'll come back. We'll get into injury reports, not just for South Carolina, but maybe for your house. We'll explain. It's the early game. .649 as we roll along here. Again, a reminder coming up in the next hour, Chris Plank from the Oklahoma Sooner Radio Network will join us. We will not only talk about Oklahoma, we may hold him over for another segment. That'll start at 7:30 to give you an idea of what to do out in Oklahoma. Co-pilot weighs in, says, I lived in Fort Sill, Oklahoma for half a year. Everything is indeed black and white in Oklahoma. So, yeah, I hate this. I feel like it's oil fields and tornadoes. That's about all I've got on Oklahoma. I'm sure there is more fun things. Obviously, the Oklahoma City Thunder, but I don't know what else I'm going with.
You can get
there.
a good steak out there. So, I know you can get a good steak.
Well, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's about what I got. You can get a good steak.
So I will be interested on Monday for some of you that fly out there and fly back to hear your assessment of that trip. Take away the game when you fly back. We'll be interested. We'll have some. I want to hear some live reviews there from the trip to Norman. How you got out there, how the trip was from. I think a lot of people. Correct me if I'm wrong on this. If you're going, I think people are flying into Oklahoma City and then driving over to Oklahoma, similar to going to College Station, where you fly into Houston and then drive up the interstate to Bryant, Texas, where College Station is at, and go to Texas A&M. So I'll be interested to hear all that. But coming up at 7:30 this morning, Chris Plank with the Oklahoma Sooner Radio Network will join us. Injury reports. And we're breaking it down into two different sections of injury reports, Preston Thorne.
All right, so we got the actual injury reports, and I think the most importantly, far as injury reports are concerned, repeat from last week, DeAndre Jules and Jared Brown have been listed as out.
Nah, that's not good.
So they are out. Obviously, that hurts in the wide receiver game. Jared was sort of starting to maybe make his way to the top of that group, and DeAndre was having a really good season as a spot player on the interior line. So that really hurts. Casey Henry, who did leave the game early against Alabama with now what we know is a possible injury, he's listed as probable, which I think probable is 75%. So he probably is expected to play. However, with Shivers coming along, playing well, we'll see how that maybe they get into a platooning situation, and those are the main injuries. And then some other folks who are listed, but they haven't played much. So those are the ones. DeAndre Jules listed as out. Jared Brown listed as out. Casey Henry listed as probable as far as the injury report is concerned. That's the football injury report. But this morning, Bill, I woke up with another injury report, and it got me to wondering. I would like to know everybody's injury report for your house or your car, or in my case, my phone. Woke up this morning, my phone was DOA, screen of death. I don't know what's going on with it, and it was fine last night, and it woke up this morning out. So my phone is not on the probable list, not on the maybe list.
It's got the white snowy, and it's not even, it's just.
It's out. It's out. So 803-404-6100. What around you is on the injury list? Bill, you said you had something at your house is on the injury list?
Came home last night, something with the hot water heater. It's leaking. Waiting to get somebody there today. Got up this morning, forgot about it because it's in a little separate laundry room. And as I was in the kitchen this morning, I happened to glance in there and see all the towels on the floor, trying to control whatever is going on. And they're basically just floating around now with puddles. I'm 100% sure this is not good.
Water heater out?
I have no idea.
Probable?
You know what?
Questionable?
I'm pretty sure the water heater's out.
Is it original?
It looks original.
Yeah.
Jen, you got anything on the injury report in the house?
Just my foot.
Jen actually has a real
No.
report.
How are you coming along? Because you're the queen right now of, we've got CW Cabinetry. You've got the Carolina Stone.
Yep. No, so far, no things to
Is
fix
everybody's on the mend there? The house is on the mend?
The house is on the mend.
He had a major injury to the house with the flood.
Major injury to the house, so I know everything else.
But it's coming along.
Yep.
Yeah, so
we're good on that.
Yeah, so 803-404-6100. I just want to know what's on the injury report in your house. Is it the car? Got a check engine light that just popped up from you maybe somewhere? A leak that sprung? I also told Bill, think I've got a sink. as Will Muschamp might say, I think I got a sink. Just heard a little bit of extra drip dropping underneath there, and I was like, doesn't sound good. I did the thing that you're not supposed to do. Just close the door. I was like, not today.
Alex weighs in. My money is on the injury report.
Gets the show.
Texter weighs in last night. Had to list my heating unit as doubtful. Cut the heating unit on for the first time last night. Got that wonderful heating unit, first time smell.
Burning it off.
Yep.
Yeah, we did that the other day when we could open up the windows. You know,
a lot of folks will be making some calls because they're going to cut it on and it's just not going to respond. Yep. 803-404-6100. What's on the heat? What's on the injury report?
My Honda is running in questionable. If I really diagnosed its issues, most likely be doubtful. Yeah, send that in. Yeah, we got Preston. I walked in this morning. Preston shows me his phone. I was like, I think I can top that. I got a small pond. I got a lake out back. Got Lake Murray out back, and now I got a small pond in my laundry room. I was like, this is not good at all. So yeah, so we've got the injury reports.
Keep the injury reports flowing in. I don't know. We're all day to day around here.
You got a cracked phone. You got a phone that's out. You got a roof. Yeah, some storms. Well,
it's flat tire pressure. This is tire pressure season.
Shoot. William says his roof blew off during the hurricane.
Yeah,
that's
out.
out.
That's out. That one's out. Mm-hmm. Hour or two on the way.
I-26 westbound still slowing things down a little bit between exits 110 and 108. That'd be between Sunset Boulevard and I-126. Shop Road at Pineview Drive, there is a report of an accident there. And Highway 601 at Old Eastover Road might encounter a slowdown from an earlier tie-up. 65 for the high today. Overnight low still kind of cold, 39. Tomorrow, looking for a high of 72. And then overnight lows are back into at least the 40s. We'll be in the mid-70s for your daytime highs throughout the weekend. So it should be a good weekend ahead. Sunny skies in the forecast. Right now we're sitting at 42 on the early game.
$7 a.m. on a football Thursday. It can be football Thursday. It can be football Friday. To me, it all gets started on Thursday, and you've got college football tonight. You got the NFL tonight. Again, as I mentioned in the last hour reminder, we'll have Carolina Calls with Shane Beamer starting at 6 o'clock tonight right here at 107.5 The Game, 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. Following that, at about 7:30, we'll start our pregame for the NFL tonight. The Broncos and the Saints. You'll have a chance to listen to Spencer Rattler's second career start tonight. Preston, he needs to. Last week wasn't bad. It was a fun game. Was keeping up with it driving back from Tuscaloosa last week. The Buccaneers ran out to a 17-0 lead. The Saints kind of came roaring back, actually had the lead in that game. The Bucs then just blew them away in the second half. But Spencer Rattler's performance last week, not awful. I think it was better. Maybe I'm being very nice. It's okay. You can text in. I'll get back to some of these injury reports here in just a second. But I thought it was for Spencer Rattler individually, 22 of 40, 243 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. I thought it was not great, not bad, an okay opening performance.
Spencer's in a great spot. He's in a great spot because the team is floundering a little bit, so he's going to get a fair chance to get evaluated. By all reports, Derek Carr is a great teammate, leadership guy, so it's not as if he's going to be trying to be getting undercut by him. So Spencer is going to have plenty of time to build himself as an NFL quarterback. So yes, it was a okay performance. It wasn't abysmal. It wasn't catastrophic. Good enough to get to the next one.
And just to make sure he didn't feel too comfortable or like he was in the pros, the Saints let him get sacked 5 times.
Welcome back to college.
Oh, this is what you did last week. We just want you to feel comfortable. Here, dudes run you into the ground 5 different times. So that's tonight. Saints, Broncos. We'll try and get more into that. Also in college tonight, some game last night again was, boy, you really had to be into college football last night. Western Kentucky, Sam Houston, and Florida International, Utah. Tonight, a little bit different, though. Georgia State at Marshall. I think because of Sean Elliott's connection there and because it's Marshall, I'm always kind of interested in those two teams. A little bit more interesting, that up in Huntington, West Virginia, so Georgia State and Marshall. And then you get an ACC game. It's worth just kind of keeping on the television. Boston College, Bill O'Brien, by the way, projected to be a potential opponent for South Carolina in the Gasparilla Bowl. If you're into that kind of thing, if you want to do a little pre-scouting, Virginia Tech, if you want to do some extremely pre-scouting, Virginia Tech, the opener for next year in 2025. If you want to get way out over your skis and look way too far ahead.
It might be something to look at because I do think Brent Pye's seat
warming.
It may have a little bit of a heater in it.
Okay.
Just a slight, might be warming.
Virginia Tech 3-3 on the season. They've got losses to Vanderbilt, to Rutgers, to Miami. Of course, that Miami game very controversial, and they blew out Stanford last week out on the farm over on the West Coast.
He's definitely going to his AD like, look, you see Vandy's pretty good this year, right?
Yeah.
He's walking around telling people that. He's like, hey, listen.
Leave us alone.
Exactly.
we only lost to them by a touchdown.
Right.
There, Alabama lost by 5. We're kind of like Alabama if you really want to analyze it and look at it. But but that'll be tonight. Boston College and Virginia Tech, 7:30 ESPN. That's your college games tonight. 803-404-6100, and y'all are weighing in. So we got injury reports, Preston. We got the injury report from South Carolina. By the way, let me just read this quote. I was looking to see if we had it from yesterday because we don't have it to play it, I believe. I don't see it anywhere on here when I'm looking from yesterday at Shane Beamer's discussions about injuries. I don't know, Jen, if you see anything on there that would jump out at me. I see nothing. But this is a Shane Beamer quote from Tuesday during his press conference, asked about the injury report. Coach Beamer says, I would imagine a lot of head coaches are not going to mess with it. Just give it to the trainer. The trainer will say, does this look good? The head coach is going to look at it for 5 seconds and say, yeah, it's fine. It's not a big deal. It is what it is. I don't think it'll be too time-consuming from my standpoint. That tells you what I get what the SEC's trying to do, but also, it does feel like it's, hey, head football coaches, you don't have enough on your plate already trying to keep your roster intact, trying to game plan for your next opponent, maybe trying to deal with boosters on NIL, doing your call-in shows. We're going to need you to send out an injury report, too, and make sure it's fairly accurate. And Shane Beamer was like, yeah, I spend 5 seconds.
Yeah, this is where you trust and delegate. Listen, I trust those people. They're doing what they need to do. I'll sign. Just get it to me. I'll sign off on it, and we'll keep it moving.
So, yeah, and again, there won't be happier coaches than rivalry week if Billy Napier's still employed, when Billy Napier, when Shane Beamer, when Clark Lee, I guess they'll have a rivalry game. Mark Stoops for Kentucky. All those guys don't have to deal with the injury report for their rivalry games. South Carolina and Clemson, obviously, Kentucky and Louisville, etc. But 803-404-6100. So South Carolina's injury report did have 2 notables last night. DeAndre Jules, we talked about Kyle Kennard. DeAndre Jules has been playing really well for South Carolina, had really been providing extra snaps there in the middle and being kind of a space eater. He is out. That is a blow. Jared Brown, I think, is a blow, but it also feels like maybe, just maybe, number 8, as he refers to himself, Nick Harbor, is developing into a guy that you can count on to go in there with Mazio Bennett, and Gage Larvindan has been coming on. I want to see more of Andrevius Jacobs. Michael Smith, the tight end, got out to a hot start. We really haven't heard much from him. We talk about the production of DeAndre Jules and Kyle Kennard as transfers. Brady Hunt's been exceptionally quiet this year at the tight end spot. Josh Simon has gotten a lot of catches and snaps and has, I think, performed fine. But, yeah, Brady Hunt was supposed to be a big get. People were all riled up when it looked like he was going to flip his commitment from South Carolina to Texas A&M. And outside of a catch to open the season on a special teams play that didn't count, he's been extremely quiet.
Well, he's been limited in snaps. Just to give you a snap count, Josh Simon has played 346 snaps. Brady Hunt has played 102 snaps. So, large disparity in playing time.
And for the record, Josh Simon's second on the team in receptions with 16. Michael Smith was 7. So you're talking about right there. And then if you throw in Brady Hunt's just got 1 catch, but 24 receptions this year from the tight ends, again, with Joshua Simon leading the way. 16 catches, 142 yards, and a touchdown. Mazio Bennett leading the team in receptions, 17 catches, 257 yards, 3 touchdowns on the season. Two receivers tied for third. Gage Larvindan, coming off of the injury, has already bounced back and been a big part. 9 catches, 138 yards. And Nick Harbor, 9 catches, 91 yards, and a touchdown on the season. So there's a little breakdown of what's going on with the receivers. But Jared Brown being out, I think, is something significant there because it seemed like he was really coming on for the Gamecocks. Your injury reports. Richard says heat works, but the AC unit is on the physically unable to perform list. Another texter says, think I've got a wheel issue due to the cold tire pressure monitoring system has activated.
It's that time of season, that time of year.
Mitch has a serious one. Blown head gasket on wife's Trailblazer. Out. Career ending.
Whoops.
Got that one there.
Out, yeah.
Rooster P on the home one says, I've got a basement that's doubtful. It's not good.
There's a lot of reasons the basement could be doubtful. You could have mold, you could have water, you could have all kinds of things.
Basements are a great
Basements are fun until they're not, right? They're fun, and then all of a sudden they're not fun anymore.
I feel like October, this is a whole different discussion. I feel like October is a month where a basement is a complete disaster because if your kids are watching, if they stumble across AMC or anything with the scary, I was watching, boy, did I go down a path last night prior to football and baseball. Texas Chainsaw Massacres, like trying to figure out this whole arc of the family. And there's one too many movies where it seems like that maybe I just have the family's all muddled and I can't figure out the bad family in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre because I watched one yesterday from I think somebody can correct me 2013 where it turns out they're turning I don't even know if it's Leatherface because of again the family arc. They're turning him in basically to a hero.
Okay.
I was like, all right, that's a step in the right direction. But I feel like if you've got a basement this time of the month, the kids are horrified. Like all you got to do is like eat your vegetables or you have to go to the basement.
Yeah, like I said, basements are fun until they're not, because then all kinds of stuff could just go wrong. You have steps, you could have water, mold, whatever. But it's a cool spot when it's going well. October might be a stress test for you for everything. Like, is the AC HVAC system in play? Because sometimes it's heating, sometimes it's out. Like, it's a lot. You might find out that you have an extra breeze in your windows. You might have an extra, you just
you don't realize it's chilly until a little cool air is getting under the windows.
Yeah. Chris weighs in. He says, "I got a roof." But the training staff wrapped it up and it's ready to play.
There we go.
Sent me pictures. Yeah, good job.
There we go. Tough roof. There we go.
No kidding. Little rehab, it'll be as good as new.
Coach Gillespie weighs in on multiple topics. He weighs in on a physical injury list. Ankles every morning, questionable. Game time decisions. And he says 17 years ago, but I was in Fort Sill, Oklahoma basic training. We had a lightning fire. I got sunburn and sand burn. There was a tornado and it snowed all in 1 week.
Holy guacamole.
Not great.
803-404-6100. Keep sending those in. I'll get to more of those this morning as we roll along. Again, Chris Plank with the Oklahoma Radio Network is set to join us about 7:30. We're going to get to a lot of stuff with him. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It's the early game.
Hey, it's Jen for CHW Cabinetry. We were just talking about the how we were basically questionable for about 6 or 8 months because of the demolition that had to be done in our house, especially the kitchen due to a flood. And CHW Cabinetry was great, helped us figure out what cabinets we needed. Those photorealistic renderings of our finished kitchen helped us put together all of the other elements of the kitchen before it was even done. Kitchens, that's not all they do. If you have a closet that maybe needs to be more functional, tired of those wire hanging racks, maybe you want some drawers in there, they can help you with that. Your pantry, it's not functional. You just found something from 2018. Maybe drawers are an answer for that as well. Anything that you might need in your home to make it more functional and better storage options, they can help. CHWCabinetry.com is the place to go. Or you can call them today, 803-520-6837. Be sure to tell them Jen Jensen sent you. Locally owned, women-owned business, CHW Cabinetry, passion from inspiration to installation. Highway 601 near Old Eastover Road still appears to be an accident there that's slowing things down. Earlier tie-ups have been cleared. That's great news. We do have a report of traffic lights malfunctioning. Highway 262 right there at Highway 378 or Garner's Ferry Road. So caution and remember the rules of the road when traffic lights are malfunctioning. Should be more like a four-way stop. And as far as your forecast goes, 65 will be the high today, overnight low of 39. Then we get a little more of a warming trend. 72 tomorrow, 74 on Saturday, 76 on Sunday. 42 currently on 107.5 The Game.
Eight zero 6100 How you can weigh in. Reminder tomorrow, Lou Beesjack will join us. Chris Deering out of the country. Lou Beesjack will join us, and we will talk about the weekend for the high school football and the high school highlights. Basketball not far away from getting going. And then you can tune in tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, for the Love Chevy High School Football Scoreboard Show with Justin Hall, Elijah Campbell, and Mr. Producer Ed Bird. So prepare for that. High School Football Friday coming up tomorrow. But Saturday, South Carolina has to prepare for Brent Venables. Brent Venables had incredible defense. I mean, just watching, oh boy, was it annoying. Sunday night, Bengals Giants, Sexy Dexy, Big Dexter Lawrence, representing Clemson extremely well in the NFL. Quite a force on the interior for the Giants.
Listen, man, when you look back and be like, ooh, I mean, I know it didn't feel good when we were not winning those games all in a row, but you look back at some of those players that they had, ooh,
yeah,
they had some dudes.
Yeah, Brent Venables had to, and that's a deal. Look, and Perry Orr said that. Was it Perry yesterday talked about going against those defenses, the Clemson defenses that Brent Venables coordinated, and you're right the way you explained it. They had dudes. They had guys that flat could line up, and really Brent Venables could have just called basic defenses, and they could get to you. Oklahoma doesn't have that. Man, Oklahoma's still been successful. They forced turnovers, but here is Dowell Loggins yesterday talking about prepping for Brent Venables and that Oklahoma defense.
Yeah, it's a really good question, and it's a very good observation because what's amazing when you watch the tape, and I've never had a chance to compete against him, always scout a lot of his players in the NFL, but the volume of defense they have where they still play hard. A lot of times when you start seeing teams that have a lot of volume, their players slow down a little bit. These guys play hard. You can tell by how many turnovers they have, how many fumbles they create. I think team speed always dictates how many fumbles you create. And these guys play hard and they don't make mistakes. And so you can tell, like, they're building a culture of defense there that's really impressive. It'll be the biggest challenge from the amount of scheme we face this year. And they do get to your point, very quickly. Whatever their communication system is very good. So you have to, as an offensive coach, you have to figure out what can our players handle, starting with the offensive line and quarterbacks, because that's who he's going to test the most. From a protection standpoint, this guy's a nightmare to prepare for on third down. He does a great job. He's going to put stress on, but it's stress on the offensive line, the quarterbacks, the tight ends, the running backs, and protections. But he can also adjust fast, and he sees protections. He knows what you're doing protection-wise. He knows the calls, and he knows how to attack those protections. So it'll be a good challenge. You better be ready to adjust in games, and we got some young players are going to be this is going to be an awesome challenge for those guys to get a taste of what this is going to be like, and another great opportunity to grow, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Let's play this also real quick because you heard him talk about the pressures he brings, specifically on the offensive line. Here is Dowell Loggins talking about the performance of Jatavius Shivers Saturday, because I think this is a big part of this game. Maybe getting Shivers in there and allowing him to go. I thought the grades maybe didn't reflect it, but I thought Shivers played a lot better than Casey Henry. Here is Dowell Loggins talking about the performance of Jatavius Shivers Saturday at Alabama.
He came in and played well. You don't know how they're going to be until they get out there. Like he's a much improved player. Like he's worked and he's got talent. He's got really good feet. He's starting to learn how to become a good practice player. Sometimes it's easier to come off the bench when you're not stressed about worrying about starting a game and all that stuff. So he had a chance to watch a little bit of the game. He played some reps, took some practice reps last week, and then this thing's about making the most of your opportunity. And came out there and he lost a couple of battles versus a really good team. But what I loved is how he responded. There was a 2-minute play where he got a little high and 22 got under him and pushed him back a little bit. But the next play, he jump set the guy and set him down and did a really good job for a redshirt freshman to come in and play in that environment. I was really pleased with that because you think the talent you have on when you're talking about the backups, but until they actually get meaningful time to it's you think and you hope. But he came in and did a nice job for us.
Lot there in those two things, but I think they go hand in hand, talking about prepping for Brent Venables and what he wants to do, Preston, but also talking about what I personally, nothing against Casey Henry, should be the change at right tackle.
So, again, Perry was on point. He gave us some insight into how you prep for Brent Venables' defense, and what Perry said is that basically you have to throw all your conventional ideas out the gate, out the book, because Brent does a lot of things that are weird, that are against the norm as far as football rules are concerned, and you have to prep for all of those different things happening. Why is that important for this team? Because this team has struggled with blitz pickup. They have struggled with the ability to be able to recognize twists and stunts and blitzes and all that stuff. So it is what I think is our offense's weakness going against a defensive coordinator's strength. So that is something a matchup that I will have to be paying close attention to. And Brent Venables is very good. And so this is also a matchup for Dowell against one of the premier defensive minds in the nation.
Yeah, I think the question, you can point to several games right now for Oklahoma, and you go, all right, what did we do here? What did we do there? The question is, what can you take away from Oklahoma? What can you take away from Tennessee? What can you take away from Texas last week? You don't have the same personnel, mind you, but what can you take away? Let's get out to the phone line. Scott wants to weigh in on the Oklahoma game. Scott, how you doing this morning? What's on your mind?
Hey, everybody says, we should beat Oklahoma. But how many times do Carolina do what we should do? Brent Venables or whatever is a master of defense. He knows he doesn't have much offense. He's going to try to score with his defense. He's going to try to make his defense part of his offense. He is going to come with everything he's got. And I'm going to tell you, we got to do something different, like Dowell said, or we're not going to do it. We're not going to beat them. For one thing, we can't drop back 98% of the time and get sacked 4 times, fumble a couple times, throw an interception. And they need to make the Sellers get the ball out of one hand. He holds the ball in one hand. When he starts running, he's got the ball in one hand. That would be the first thing I would teach Sellers. He needs to pull the ball in more. He runs around too much. But I'm telling you, we got to do some designed rollout passes. You cannot drop back. And they say they're going to, and we can't do design rollout passes all the time. Well, I'm not talking about all the time. I'm just talking about sometimes. Try a rollout pass to the tight end. It gives you 3 options. You can throw the ball, you can run the ball, or you can throw the ball on the sideline. And I've tried to get them to do that. And if we don't see some of that and they try to drop back straight every time like they did last week against Alabama, we will not win the game. We should win this game if they have the right game plan and play the right game. We will win this game. But if not, we won't.
I do want to ask you said you've tried to get them to do that. When you've had these conversations, what's the feedback you get with the coaches?
Well, they say, like last week, I talked to the coach on the coach's show, but I was in a position I couldn't hear his feedback. But I did hear him say that, and I did hear Jay Phillips say also that he can't. You can't do that all the time. Well, I'm not talking about it. And the coach said, yeah, we could try that, but we still need to be able to drop back. And then, like I said, I never see them do a designed rollout pass. When they hike him the ball, they got somebody pulling in front of him to help block, and he runs to the right. You get 3 receivers. The first receiver cuts short to the sideline. The second one's behind him. The third one's deep. One of them's going to be open. If they're not, he can run the ball, and he'll probably get a first down. If not, he can throw the ball away instead of taking a sack or throwing the ball, interception, or all that stuff. I just want them to try it, and they will have success. But I just can't get them to try it.
Gotcha. I appreciate the phone call, Scott. They actually have tried that several times, and the one that I remember just because I didn't like the pass specifically was Saturday against Alabama, which they threw to Joshua. Same play, the exact same play you're talking about. It was 4th and 11, though, and he threw it underneath to Simon. It ended up being ruled a fumble. Simon didn't get the first down. We talked about it yesterday. We were talking about those long drives that they've had, but that was the exact play they ran, running Sellers to his right. He flipped it out to Simon. Simon turned it upfield. I didn't understand the pass play because he was still probably 5 yards short of the first down, and he fumbled trying to pick it up.
They also ran a similar play for the 2-point conversion at the end of the game. And as Scott is right, it is a play designed to have 3 levels in which he could either run, he could throw to the intermediate or the back of the end zone. He chose to throw to the back of the end zone. He overthrew it. So I don't know. Maybe Scott is making some play calls, but
there you go.
That's something they did try.
Good job. Real quick. Play calling this year, just looked, 150 passes, 267 runs, 64% run this season for South Carolina, 36% pass is where they're going. They are definitely not dropping back and just launching it all over the field. A lot of different passes. Sellers, by the way, now up to 62% completion percentage. I think a few weeks ago he was at 53. We will continue talking about this. We'll get the Oklahoma perspective. Chris Plank with the Sooner Radio Network joins us next. You're listening to The Early Game.
Preston here for our friends at Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, business, home glass repair. If your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, that's no problem. They will come out to your location and replace it for you, usually for free, and they work directly with your insurance company to take away the headache. Yes, they will work directly with the insurance company. They'll give you an estimate. If you want to do the job, they'll do the job, take it away, and you have nothing to worry about. Now, if you're sitting at home and you're looking to increase the value of your home, you can do that with Absolute Glass also. Whether it's windows, mirrors, shower enclosures, whatever you need, Absolute Glass can take care of it. Absolute Glass, if you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com. That's online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
Couple accidents out there to tell you about. Highway 378 at Highway 601 McCord's Ferry Road. Also 321 near I-26. Traffic lights malfunctioning. Highway 262 right there at Garner's Ferry. And I-26 westbound between exits 125 and 119. The right lane is currently blocked due to an accident, so stay left. I-26 westbound between 125 and 119. 65 for the high today, overnight low of 39, 72 tomorrow, 42 currently on 107.5 The Game.
Rolling along here on your Thursday morning, getting you ready. Oklahoma, South Carolina, noon kick here. 12:45 kick here, 11:45 kick out in Norman. And as always, you can listen right here. We will get going with our pregame, 7:30 pregame right here, 107.5 The Game, 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. And don't forget, we've got a viewing party over at O'Hara's Public House, Main Street in Lexington. That'll take place. Get over there, hang out. Maybe you can win some future football tickets. So again, this all occurring Saturday, 7:30 pregame right here, 107.5 The Game, 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach, as well as our viewing party, O'Hara's Public House, Main Street in Lexington, getting you ready to watch the game Saturday, 12:45. And joining us now to give us the Oklahoma perspective on things, Chris Plank. And boy, Mr. Plank, I feel like we've had an interesting week coming off of a wild game in Tuscaloosa. I can't imagine what Sooner Sports Talk has been like this week coming off of the Red River shootout there in Dallas.
Yeah, not good. Not good would be one way to put it. It's been a little bit ugly. It's been a little bit confrontational. The sky is falling. They're never going to get another offensive yard. And now you want to go back to the other quarterback, and you have arguably, two of the best defensive linemen in Dylan Stewart and Kyle Kennard coming to town this weekend. So, yeah, it's not been a good week for Oklahoma Sooner football fans and leading up to Saturday.
Well, Chris, thank you for joining us first and foremost. We appreciate it. My question is always, with Oklahoma being new to the SEC, we as South Carolina fans, we've always seen Oklahoma as a football powerhouse. But I'm wondering what is Oklahoma's perception of South Carolina, maybe before the season and coming into this game?
I think they're fans because of Shane Beamer.
Gotcha.
Shane was here for, I want to say 3, maybe 4 years, and he was very popular. Not just because he was, Frank Beamer's son, but he was very popular because he was personable. They got him from Georgia whenever he came here. He really became a fan favorite very quickly. So, the perception was it was a game that they thought they should win. I mean, let's just, to be honest with you, it was a game that when you looked at the schedule, it's like, okay, well, we're going to get an SEC win. And then the Old Dominion game happened, and you thought, oh yeah, we're going to win that game. Well, then lo and behold, South Carolina takes care of Kentucky, plays in dominating fashion, probably should have beaten LSU, plays Alabama the way they did, and suddenly it goes from, I think you guys even see this on the spread, this goes from being a game where you were close to a touchdown favorite to where you're barely a 2-point favorite. And I'm telling you, boys, the mindset amongst the Sooner fans that we have and we talk to on our show regularly is, well, I don't even know if that's right. We can't even score 2 points. So when Oklahoma loses to Texas in the manner that they did, it makes things tough. When they lose to Texas in the manner that they did in the offense, which for so many years had been the strength of this program, is now not just a weakness, but maybe one of the worst offenses in college football, it kind of adds to just the misery. So the perception of South Carolina was, we want them to win every game but one because we love Shane Beamer. That's going to be a game we're going to win, right? And then all of a sudden it becomes, oh, man, Shane's going to come in here and he's going to toy with us, and these defensive ends are going to set the record for the most sacks ever had in the history of a college football game. So it's been a complete 180, and that probably fits with just about everything in college football right now for Oklahoma.
Chris Plank joining us again with the Sooner Radio Network. Make sure you follow him for any updates this week on at Plank Show on Twitter/X. Walk me back real quick, because Preston and I have talked a lot about this, and obviously some of it even relates back to Spencer Rattler ending up here at South Carolina and the new college football world we live in with transfer quarterbacks. What transpired for Dillon Gabriel to leave Oklahoma? Was it mutual? Was he not happy with Jeff Lebby leaving? From the outside looking in, from my perspective, it seemed like he might have been pushed out for Jackson Arnold, a former five-star quarterback. What happened there?
Yeah, it's interesting because to go back, the plan had always been that Dillon Gabriel would be here for 2 years and then he'd turn pro, and then it would become Jackson Arnold's team. Well, at the end of last year, when Jackson Arnold didn't play in the bowl game, the thought was that he was off to the NFL. Well, he didn't get the draft grade he thought, wanted or needed. In fact, I think it was like I think they give you first day, second day, third day, or undrafted free agent is my understanding, or somewhere of that nature. And he didn't get the draft grade he wanted. So he and his family made the decision that they were going to come back to school. Well, when they decided they were going to come back to school, he decided he wanted to move closer to home. And when he did, Brent Venables has told the story a couple weeks ago when the bottom fell out for Jackson Arnold against Tennessee, where, Dillon comes in his office, they have this great talk, and he's like, listen, in my mind, I never thought that this was a possibility that he would come back. So when he was told that he was moving closer to home, Oklahoma, he was never ushered out or kicked out, but as Coach said, you never thought you were going to be in a position where you had to fight to keep him around. So did Oklahoma put on a full court press to probably keep him? No, I don't think so, because I think there was a lot of confidence in Jackson Arnold, but I know they tried. I know that they gave an offer. They said, hey, we'd love to have you around, but he had made up his mind that he was done at Oklahoma and he was going to move a little closer to home. Now, NIL offers came in, and I think there were some massive numbers that could have drawn him to the Midwest or maybe even out east, but he ended up in Oregon, and it's been an interesting paradox for Oklahoma, I guess would be the proper term, because if you were to poll 90% of Oklahoma, or if you were to poll Oklahoma fans, 90% of it were fine with the decision. It's like, yes, let Dillon Gabriel go do his thing. We've got Jackson Arnold. We're going to be okay. Well, then Jackson Arnold does what young quarterbacks do, and he struggled. So the only problem is he struggled turning the ball over, and it cost Oklahoma a game. So it's unfortunate for Oklahoma how it played out, but they went all in with Jackson Arnold, not in a way to say, get out of here, Dillon Gabriel, but in a way to where Gabriel just decided that he didn't have the prospects pro-wise that he wanted. And he's staying in college where he's probably making a lot more money than he would as an NFL player, and he's absolutely balling up in Oregon. So it looks really bad for Oklahoma, right? Because here's a guy that's at Oregon and might be the Heisman Trophy winner and the national champion. Meanwhile, you have the second worst offense in college football right now, and it might be the worst. You guys, you will be able to tell on Saturday. It's just not good right now.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that, because we've been looking at the numbers, and I've been wondering if it's as bad as it looks on paper. But here's the thing. Brent Venables has beaten us up for years around here at South Carolina. We're very familiar with Brent Venables. Unfortunately,
right.
We were very happy to see him get a head coaching job and get out of town. I know he's coming back home. What is the temperature around, and I'm not saying hot seat, but what's the feelings around Brent Venables and his tenure to this point?
Well, I think Brent Venables is kind of in that position where he is very beloved by Oklahoma fans. And they're going to root, and they're going to do everything they can to support it to make sure it works. I know the 31 put up by Texas wouldn't prove it, but he has turned the defense around. And part of the reason that got as carried away as it did on Saturday against Texas is because Oklahoma turned it over twice in their own end. And a 7-3 football game was suddenly, I think it was like 21-3 at halftime, and it was pretty much over. But he's 180 that defense. That's what's so wild about this. Oklahoma finally has the defense they wanted. They just can't move the football. So before the season started, even after having a 6-7 season, and then being 10-3 last year with 2 losses to teams that as Oklahoma football. You don't lose to in Oklahoma State and Kansas in their final year in the Big 12. After 2 years, Joe Castiglione, the OU athletic director, gave him a contract extension. And I think that shocked a lot of people across college football because Oklahoma had not been very good, right? I mean, they're just not at that level that Oklahoma had been at before. And part of the reason why, and one of the main reasons why, was they knew that there were going to be some bumps. Now, I don't think, again, full disclosure, no one imagined it would be this bad offensively. And the other part of it is they kept guys on staff and kept the offensive coordinator hire after Jeff Lebby left in-house for continuity, right, to make things easier for Jackson Arnold whenever he took over. So there wouldn't be a lot of language change in the offense, and that didn't work, right, obviously. So the next offensive coordinator decision, if it's to be made at the end of this season or sooner, is a massive one for fan confidence in Brent Venables. But the seat hasn't gotten hot yet because there's still a belief that everything that goes into running a program, everything that anyone would want a program to be about, Brent Venables is doing right now. The problem is they just haven't had the results yet offensively. So I would say it's tepid. It's a little bit warm. And if they have anything near an offensive performance like they had Saturday, again, I don't know how they can continue on this path offensive coordinator-wise the rest of the season, but we'll see. So far, though, there's still belief in Brent.
Chris, we're going to hold you over. Want you to help us with some stuff for Norman. We'll be right back talking with Chris Plank of the Sooner Radio Network. Bill Gunner for the Ecton Law Firm. John Ecton and his team. If you're having tax troubles, if you've had tax issues in your life, it's time for you to call John Ecton, who can help you. They know how to navigate the IRS maze. If you've received one of those mean, nasty notices from the IRS, call John Ecton and his team. It all starts with a free consultation. You heard that right. So whether you're here in Columbia, whether you're in Florence, whether you're in Myrtle Beach or somewhere else in this great state, the Ecton Law Firm is ready to help you. They don't want you to navigate that IRS maze alone. They want to help you get through it, and they've had thousands of families that they've been able to help, businesses as well. Call for the free consultation, 803-771-9800. Time is limited. You need to call today, 803-771-9800. They have, again, a local team dedicated to resolving your income or business tax issues for good. So don't wait another day. Time is limited. Call the Ecton Law Firm, 803-771-9800. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing, where for nearly 30 years, Larry Leitner and the family, they've been the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. And you know what? Recently, we've had these storms come through. If you've noticed some roof damage, whether it's to your house or to your business, Larry Leitner and the family, they want to show you why they've been the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. And it all starts with them being there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Let's be honest, if you've got a leak in your roof, it needs to be fixed now. So call Mid-State Roofing, because it doesn't matter whether it's 3 a.m., 6 a.m., 9 a.m., or midnight. Mid-State Roofing is there for you. 803-356-1919. They'll have an on-call technician or a Mid-State Roofing employee ready to take your phone call and help you with a maintenance contract. So give Mid-State Roofing a call today. 803-356-1919. Again, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They are there to help you, and that's why they say, if you've got a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek. Just a couple minutes left with Chris Plank of the Sooner Radio Network. And Chris, I tell you, for those coming into town this weekend, coming into Norman, I know you guys will also have a very early start time, but you have a pregame show that people can tune in and listen to that'll give people a sense of where Oklahoma's media and fans are. Tell everybody how they can tune in and listen to y'all when they get out there.
Oh, yeah, man, I appreciate that. If you want to catch our pregame show, our radio station is called KREF. You can download the KREF app. We start, 11:30. Holy smokes. We start at 7:30 a.m. Central, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time on Saturday. So I appreciate that. And it's really kind of like you guys. There's a lot of different options in the area. So if we're being too upbeat and positive, I'm sure there's plenty of negatives that you can find with people that are not happy with the way things are going for Oklahoma football right now. But yeah, it's fun. And I think fans go, and I think they'll enjoy it. I hate it, guys, that it's an 11 a.m. game, and I hate that it comes after an embarrassing Texas loss because it's not going to be the same juice, especially with the early start that it could have been if it was an afternoon or an evening start.
Real quick, that was a big point of discussion for me last week. I went to Tuscaloosa, took my kids there, and we checked out. My daughter's 15, and I wanted her to see the campus, not going to Norman this weekend. What kind of fan environment, atmosphere during the game are you expecting? Are you expecting one where Oklahoma fans are almost going in upset, expecting the worst, or are they kind of what does South Carolina walk into from a fan's perspective?
Well, it's interesting. I would say Oklahoma has had its best in-game fan experiences this year, just from the crowd and the juice and the energy last week before OU Texas, which is, of course, played in the Cotton Bowl down in Dallas. I've done this since 2011, doing the sideline reports for OU Radio Network, and it was the loudest I can remember the OU crowd. It's just maybe it was the disrespect, which, of course, they earned. But it's been really good. The problem is these 11 a.m. kicks Central Time, they've been all too common. It's part of the reason why some of the disdain started with the Big 12. It was overall frustrating that they ended up where they are with an 11:45 kick, because this was, and it's good because this is one of only two that they have, and the other one's on the road in Oxford next week. So the fan environments have been awesome. The atmosphere has been as loud as I can remember. The problem is with an 11 a.m.-ish kick, it's not going to be what it was. Now, 2 years ago, Oklahoma played Kansas, and they were coming off a tough loss, and everyone thought, oh, my gosh, we're going to have empty seats. There's going to be boo birds out. It's not going to go well. And it was one of the loudest environments of the season. So, you can be surprised, but I would expect it to be a little bit south of electric whenever things get going on Saturday morning.
About 2.5 minutes left with you. So for people coming in Friday night, whoever you want to promote, tell people here in Columbia. Preston asked, he thinks Norman's a great place to get a great steak.
I'm guessing.
Okay.
I don't think.
I was thinking barbecue. So tell folks here
A little bit of everything.
Where is the place to go? Where is in Norman to experience the college vibe and to get good food? Places people can go there in Norman.
College vibe would be Campus Corner. You got a lot of options there, but it's a little bit crowded. And it's a little bit more of your, there's a Jimmy John's, but there's a place called O'Connell's. O'Connell's has been a campus staple for years and years. But my advice would be hit the Mont. The Mont is just a little bit down the street from Campus Corner. They have a drink called the Swirl you're going to love. Great appetizers. I know that Stillwater's known for cheese fries, but the Mont's really good. You want a good steak, a little bit off campus, there's a place called The Ranch. It's amazing. It's pricey. And, barbecue, you can't go wrong. We got a place called Vance Big Stand that I absolutely love. Ray's is the famous place on campus. Whenever game day came to town, they got on the Ray's barbecue. That's my personal favorite. And believe it or not, the Tex-Mex and the Mexican food is pretty incredible here, and the drinks as well. Tarahumara is a restaurant that if that's your thing, you got to try out. But you cannot make it to Norman and not try at least a Mont Swirl and at least take a walk through O'Connell's, as it's a little bit of a trip down memory lane. You got a lot of options when you get here, and it's all really, really good, which is why I've gained about 20 pounds since I came to Norman 8 years ago full time.
Chris, we appreciate it, man. A lot of great insight there. We look forward to seeing you here in Columbia next year, and definitely will host you and try and send you to one of our places that we do.
I appreciate that, man. I'm sure we'll be seeing you next year, and I'm pumped for this game on Saturday. Hopefully we'll see a good game and not a smashing with Oklahoma unable to move the football.
Take care. Appreciate you for joining us this morning.
All right, see you guys.
Appreciate it, man.
Chris Plank with Oklahoma Radio Sports Network. Well, hour 3 on the way. We'll get into some other stuff. Bill Gunner for Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. Where as we get closer to Halloween, are you aware 2 weeks from tonight there'll be trick-or-treaters at your house? It'll be a Thursday night. Maybe you're going to have a Halloween party. You want the guest to be scary. You want the costumes, not your carpet. If you've got stains, if you've got spills, if it's looking a little rough in there, a little terrifying, it's time to call Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. Get them to your house with their patented ZR water technology. Get those stains and spots cleared up so that when the guests come over for the Halloween party, it is looking fantastic. And you know what? No better deal than right now. Contact Zero Res and mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for just $129. You heard that right. That is a spectacular saving. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for just $129 when you mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game. 803-262-4020 or schedule your cleaning online, ZeroResColumbia.com. Zero Res, spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
I-26 westbound between exit 125 and 119. The right lane is blocked, so you're going to need to stay left in that area. A couple other accidents to make you aware of. Leapart Road near Chris Drive. Industrial Drive at South Lake Drive. Highway 321 near I-26. Western Lane at Broad River Road, also a report of an accident there. And one more to let you know about, and that's 378 at McCord's Ferry Road. 65 today, then we get a little bit of a warming trend that we will welcome. 72 tomorrow, mid-70s the remainder of the weekend, up to 78 by Monday. All sunny skies each and every day. But chilly again this morning, 42 right now on 107.5 The Game.
Yes, good afternoon. Hope you guys are doing great. Would like to review the game, obviously, from last week. Obviously, it was a heartbreaking loss for the Gamecocks. Defensively, we have some good, bad, and ugly things that we did in the football game. I think the most important thing is that we got to learn from all three of those, the good, bad, and the ugly, and just find a way to make sure we finish ball games and make sure we find a way to get a win. And I think our guys had the right mindset of attacking this week and starting on Sunday. Like I said, you come in here good, bad, win or loss, you got to address them in a certain way. And I like the mindset. We're still trying to attack. Obviously, we got to go up to Oklahoma. Big SEC ball game on the road. Looking forward to it.
That was Clayton White yesterday. Scripted speech. Got a little off track there. He was going to go one more good, bad, ugly, but then he decided to change that up. And it speaks volumes about what Saturday's game may be all about. Preston Thorne. I should have done this during the break, but as I listen to Clayton White talk again, I need to look up and see what the over-under is and then encourage you to consider strongly. We'll have Brian Edwards, a Vegas insider, coming up in the next segment to consider that under maybe.
Yeah, I mean, when we listen to Chris Plaint talk about Oklahoma,
did he validate everything you said? He
validated everything we said. We know what the numbers said. I've said it again, and he talked about how bad the offense has been. But we've been complaining about our offense here, and they tell you we should feel maybe a little bit better about ourselves after hearing that.
Puff your chest out.
Yeah, a little bit. Dow could walk in like, what you think? So, I mean, at least we ain't. At least we ain't Oklahoma's offense right now, for sure.
It does feel like both Brent Venables and Shane Beamer, the fan base, is looking at him going, offensive coordinator. Now, Jeff Lebby was good. Jeff Lebby was really good. Seth Littrell has been around. He's been a head coach, but right now, of course, I feel like their situation is not Seth Littrell. Their situation is they're missing offensive linemen. They're missing quarterbacks. Or they've got young quarterbacks, I should say, Jackson Arnold and Michael Hawkins. They're missing wide receivers.
It was interesting to hear Chris say the fan base is becoming impatient with a young quarterback who has some turnover issues. And I was like, sounds interesting. Sounds very familiar.
41.
Right.
41 is the over-under. Quarterback issues, offensive line issues.
I got to be honest.
Play calling issues.
I got to be honest, Bill. It's my type of ball game. It sounds like it's going to be
Preston's going to have all kinds of snacks ready to go. 12:45.
A lot of punts.
That's
three and outs.
That's a good point. Kai Kroger, make sure that's a special teams and Alex Herrera, and South Carolina fans have been blessed really for the better half of the last 24 years to have competent field goal kicking, and Alex Herrera is going to need to be on his A game if you get in there and have an opportunity to put 3 points on the board on Saturday. We'll continue talking about all of that this morning as we go through, but obviously coming up, Brian Edwards. We believe Brian Edwards he's always on the questionable. That's the 50-50. Mm-hmm. Doubtful is 25%. Questionable. I have to admit, I love Brian Edwards. He gives us great insight, but every week he's questionable. He's an hour behind us. Chris Plank does a radio show. He was up. Chris was ready to go. Chris was fantastic. We'll get Jen to get that back up on the podcast about some of the restaurants that you've got to get to and the places to try. That was really good. Preston and I looked at each other like, oh, wish we were going out there now. Try something. What was the thing that caught you? The steak?
The steak. He said they got a good steak place, and they talked about
ranch.
No, the thing that really caught me up, and it makes sense geographically, but the Tex-Mex.
Yeah.
Always a good Tex-Mex is always a good with me. So that sounded really appealing.
We Chris, very professional, very good, great insight. And we may get him back on just to talk more SEC football, not just Oklahoma, but more SEC football here in the future is really interesting. But if you're going out there, if you're going out to Norman or however you're getting there and you want to experience it, you heard him talk a little bit about that. We'll get that up on the podcast for you so that you can go back and just have an idea. I don't know if a lot of people are flying out Thursday afternoon to be able to enjoy a Friday there, or you're flying out Friday to try and enjoy Saturday and Sunday, so forth and so on. But we'll get that up for you so you can re-listen and find some of the places that he mentioned. But coming up next, we'll be joined by Brian Edwards of Vegas Insider. We think, again, because on our injury list, Brian's always 50-50. He could oversleep. He could oversleep, and so he's 50-50. But that brings us to our injury reports. First, let's start with the very serious one, South Carolina's actual injury report. Now, again, I want to read this quote because this is Shane Beamer hit the nail on the head, right? What he said about injury reports, and we didn't have the actual audio, but this is how most coaches, and this is especially how Lane Kiffin, I guess, feels. This is Shane Beamer on Tuesday. He said, I would imagine a lot of head coaches aren't going to mess with it. Just give it to the trainer. The trainer will say, does this look good? The head coach is going to look at it for 5 seconds and say, yeah, fine. It's not a big deal. It is what it is, and I don't think it'll be too time-consuming from my standpoint. The two that matter the most for South Carolina, DeAndre Jules and Jared Brown. Those are the two you look at. What is that? That's basically your water heater and your roof. You need those two.
Yeah, those are two very important pieces. Jared Brown was moving his way up as far as wide receiver snaps and catches and the ability, talking about explosive plays. And then DeAndre Jules has been a very pleasant surprise in the interior alignment, being able to provide depth, provide snaps, and not just provide. Was making plays.
Yes.
Before he got injured, and I'm not exactly sure what the injury is. The third one, I think third on the list would be Casey Henry, who's probable. But with that injury, has that provided maybe an open window for Jatavius Shivers to come in and play and start? I'm very interested to see what they're going to do with that position. So those three spots, Jared Brown at wide receiver, DeAndre Jules at D tackle, and Casey Henry at right tackle on offense, those are the things that are going to be affected by injury.
Yeah, I personally, I don't want anybody to be injured, and I don't want anybody to miss a game because of injury, but I want to see Jatavius Shivers more at that right tackle position. We have paid a lot of attention to that throughout the year, and we've kind of started to, I think you said the Madden spotlight on it, started to really look at it. I'd like to see Jatavius Shivers get a chance there. It does bring up $1 million question that I guess in a few weeks I may have to trudge myself over to the press conference and do actual work and ask, what is the situation with Tree Babalade? Like, what if you're having this much trouble at right tackle and he filled in last year and played, is he not happy? Is he injured? Are you really going for the red shirt? Like, what?
It's clear that there's something because he's only played 23 snaps this year. And for somebody who played so much last year, played decently well, and we expect it to progress, there is something happening. We hope it's on the up and up, hope everything's all good, and they've all come to some sort of mutual agreement, but there is something going on.
And let me just be clear on this. I don't consider myself a reporter. I don't do that anymore, so I don't go hunting information, making phone calls. That's in my past. But I am a little surprised that we haven't even gotten more questions about Tree Babalade. You got the snaps. Where's Trevon Ball at, by the way? Trevon Ball I kind of understand because he's on the interior, and I can see them looking at him as a centerpiece with Marquis Anderson.
I mean, he's pretty low, too, at 44, so he hasn't played a lot of snaps either.
I mean, I don't know if there has just been a decision made that we're going to redshirt those guys and let them spend 1 year almost strictly in the weight room and not having to worry about getting ready for games each and every week. Maybe that's it. Maybe. Tree Babalade was banged up in the preseason. Maybe there's something there. Maybe he's had to have surgery. He's not on the out like Ja'Kai Moore we've heard about for weeks and weeks and weeks, and now basically you've got Shane Beamer saying it's kind of doubtful he'll be back for the remainder of the year. But that right tackle situation, it feels to me, Preston, you got to solidify that, and maybe the whole line comes together. They're making some small mistakes here and there, but I think, was it you who gave the number? 15 pressures on Saturday? 15 pressures on Saturday. 7 came from the right tackle position.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously an issue. So that's the official injury report. But the real injury report is I woke up this morning and my phone had what I guess Google refers to as the screen of death. Just white fuzz all on my phone. Phone is out. Not probable, not questionable. Phone is out. Bill informed me that his water heater is on the questionable list.
Something's wrong.
Questionable list. And so we wanted to figure out, we was asking everybody, 803-404-6100, what's the injury report on your household issues? Is it the house? Is it the car, phone? What are some of the things that are going on as far as injury reports? We've had a lot of people chime in, and because everybody's day-to-day. So we want to know what you got. Is there a check engine light on? What's going on with your day-to-day issues?
This is a good one. Texter weighs in. Freezer in the garage. Walked out this morning, smelled like a bait shop. Todd weighs in. My fireplace just came off the IR. Another texter weighed in. You get the point where we're going with this. Another texter. My truck got a replacement engine, so it's currently on a minor league rehab assignment. That's from Chuck in Georgia.
10-day contract.
Yeah, there you go. And then people are just now weighing in with their own injuries. Texter weighs in. I'm questionable today, but since I woke up sick, it was too late to get a substitute. I got to push through. I must be Robin. Yeah, Robin in Lexington who's teaching. So yeah, send in yours.
Injury reports.
Your house injury report. Yeah. So we've had those. A man who knows all about injury reports. Brian Glenn, the Godfather, on the phone line. Mr. Glenn, how are you today?
I've been better. Yeah, and this is even before I heard about the injury reports. I just needed to call you guys to get something off my chest so I don't go home and my wife thinks I'm mad at her for something. But it's shocking for me to say since I was born and raised and learned to drive in New York, but this morning I understood road rage. And like, if you're going to beep incessantly at someone, like, make sure that you are right and they are not. Anywho, thank you there for getting that off. But my injury report, I don't know, man. I use performance-enhancing drugs on everything, in my house, on my body, everything. So, like, you just go, man. Just go. Just got to go.
But, Brian, do you ever just sometimes maybe walk into the restaurant and the oven is just a probable?
You have no freaking idea, Preston. It is, hot water heater. Just the other day, manager and I said, hey, something's wrong with the hot water heater. Okay, okay, we'll figure it out. Call the plumber. Plumber shows up. It's unplugged.
Yep.
Just unplugged?
Yep.
Yeah, it's unplugged. Also got a call not too long ago from another manager on duty said, the light's out in the women's room, to which I didn't even – I literally held my phone for about an hour, tried to type something, then couldn't, and I didn't know what to say without sounding like a – I didn't know what to say without saying something that would make that person cry and walk out, because it's a light bulb. You know, there's one of the most famous jokes in the history of the world is, how many blank does it take to change a light bulb? Apparently, for me – it takes multiple employees to change a light bulb, which is unbelievable for the amount that I pay them. But, whatever. I got some other stuff I can talk about, too, if you want.
Day to day.
But I do appreciate this show and letting me get it off my chest. That's awesome.
Yeah. We appreciate being your personal venting segment. That's no problem. That could be.
You got any other questions for me?
Sponsored by Village Idiot. Not now. We got to get to Brian. We got to get to Brian. I think we got to get to Brian Edwards. He's on the questionable list. I just sent him a text message. I don't have his picks, but we'll keep you in mind for 8 a.m. segments where you just need to vent about the car pickup line, employees who probably don't listen to our program or anything, and
no chance they're awake.
Yeah, there you go. Work them to
and tell Brian Edwards if he needs any performance enhancing drugs, and he's in Columbia.
He knows a guy.
I know a guy. We got a tire guy, too. Vito.
Phenomenal segment.
See you.
Take care. It's good stuff. We'll take a break. I'll come back.
Send in those injury reports.
You've got Roger weighs in. I'll read this one real quick. While in Tuscaloosa, my wife calls and says the window fell out of the wall. That's a problem. It's an injury.
Out.
Yep, that one's out.
Window out.
803-404-6100. It is the early game. Bill Gunner for the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder with First Palmetto Bank. First Palmetto Bank, locally owned and operated right here in the Midlands. That means you can get quick and precise underwriting when you speak with the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder. For example, right now, if you're looking to move into Richland County, or if you're looking to move around in Richland County, say Blythewood, Northeast, Southeast, or the I-20 corridor, they have what's called the Community Reinvestment Product. Now, you can call the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder, and get more information on this, 803-719-1005. You can also email him, the letter J, Crowder, C-R-O-W-D-E-R, at firstpalmetto.com. The Community Reinvestment Product. Right now, they are offering a 4.99% interest with a 5.075 APR on a 30-year fixed mortgage. You heard all that right. But for more information, call Jacob Crowder today, 803-719-1005. Tell him Bill Gunner sent you.
I-26 eastbound at Harbison Boulevard, exit 103. We do have a report of a tie-up there. Also, I-26 westbound, a little bit slow due to an accident between exits 125 and 119. Lee Parted near Chris Drive, an accident there. And Industrial Drive at South Lake Drive, also a report of an accident. 321 near I-26. Western Lane at Broad River Road, also a slowdown there. And the last day of cooler temps today, 65 for the high. Overnight low, 39. So you're going to want that jacket or sweatshirt tomorrow morning. And then 72 tomorrow, 74 on Saturday. Right now, 41 is what we have on the early game.
$8:20 on your Thursday morning, getting you ready for tonight. Again, you got Boston College at Virginia Tech. You got Georgia State at Marshall as well. So a decent night of college football going on. And then professionally tonight, we will have that coverage for you right here starting at 7:30. The pregame show for the NFL Thursday night game, Broncos at Saints. Preston Thorne, Broncos at Saints, and it'll be a chance to see Spencer Rattler again tonight.
And Bo Nix. No,
Don't leave Bo Nix out.
Don't leave Bo Nix. I'm excited about seeing Spencer. I think he's in a perfect situation because there's not a lot of expectation on the team. And so he's going to get an opportunity to play himself into being an NFL quarterback. And this might be something that they look forward to as a franchise moving forward. I think they'll probably try and get rid of that big salary from Derek Carr. And Spencer seems to be the heir to that throne.
803-404-6100. In case you're wondering, it does appear that Brian Edwards, Vegas Insider's Brian Edwards, will be out today, sleeping.
Game time decision.
Game time decision. Yeah, the game for him is right now at 8:21, and it appears he is out. So we'll see if we can track him down tomorrow to get any updates on his situation. A couple of y'all have weighed in. Text weighs in. Need NIL money for new dishwasher. Old one quit on the team. I think I actually need a dishwasher, too. I forgot about that part. Chris weighs in. My refrigerator ice maker is on the fritz.
Yeah.
Back to using ice trays.
Yeah, it can happen. Tape it up. Let's go. Got to keep going.
I'm trying to be very careful on reading any of the toilet issues that are coming in. I don't want to walk myself down a path on that and get stuck anywhere that reading it without pre-reading it. Our friend, our good buddy, rest in peace, Tommy Moody, a couple times I worked with him, he would start reading a text only to figure out that maybe that text didn't need to be read. Ever since then, I've learned to try and pre-read the text messages before I read them out loud. 803-404-6100. Keep sending in the up-to-date injury statuses for you or for your house.
Yeah, I'm really interested in the house injury reports because if you have a house, you have something. Either you walk by it every day or it just pops up or you just know that you need to get it done, but for whatever reason, if you have a house, there's an injury report on your house. There's no way you don't own a house or even live in a house without having an injury report.
There's something's
wrong at your house.
Not good. So, yeah, we'll keep sending those in. Yesterday, we had Perry Orth on, and we got into an interesting discussion about, as Perry called it, the mesh play, the quarterback handing off to the running back in the zone read, and South Carolina having a few fumbles on that this year. This is a very long statement from Dowell Loggins, but it really is interesting. Him talking about correcting fumbles. I think I might have told Jen 16, actually meant 15, Jen. But this is about correcting fumbles for South Carolina. And Preston, we played this earlier, but let's play it again and go back because there have been some issues. We saw Robbie Ashford in the Mississippi game, Lenora Sellers last week. Here he is, Dowell Loggins, making some really good points just about this particular play and the issue South Carolina seems to be having.
Well, you start talking about the technique of things. It's not watching the film. It's making sure that one of them is an exchange, that happened. Now, here's what bothers us. The week before, Robbie and Rocket had the same exchange issue. All right, so like we talk about repeat offenders. So now you got to take what happened in that situation and correct it. Now, we didn't do a good enough job, obviously, because we had the same exact thing happen the next week with Lenoris and Rocket. So from that standpoint, it's emphasizing that more. We watched the turnovers, and one of them, like I said, was an exchange, and the other one was, I just mentioned myself, overcoaching, not taking sacks. And he's trying to do what his coach asked him to do and throw the ball away when he's in the grasp. So me understanding, be a better coach, and then making sure that we get enough. The biggest fear I had when we decided, now I can talk about more schematically change the offense where there is more quarterback run game. Last year I thought we did a good job of eliminating turnovers. Well, now there's more exchange issues. There's more things going on with zone reads and triple options. So the ball's in jeopardy more naturally. Making sure that we understand that it's strong hands through the mesh with the quarterback. He's got from his back hip to his front hip to make a decision with strong hands in those meshes. And, the good thing for Mike Shula helps me some with the QBs, and like my experiences with Vince Young and some of the guys I've had his experience with Cam, and you just keep doing it. You keep working it, and it's not secret outside of being good with technique, making sure that you don't do the same mistake twice, which we did. So shame on us as a coaching staff and myself, really, not no one else, to correct that, and then you attack that thing with everything you have to fix that thing, because it can't keep happening now, because we are going to continue to do what we do schematically, and there are going to be there's more ball handling than ever before. So that's part of it, but it can't be. Sometimes you say, hey, that's the cost of doing business. That's not. The ball on the ground one time is too many. So it's making sure that we're putting Lenoris in a situation, that we're practicing the right things, that we're emphasizing the right techniques, and that we're putting him in these situations where sometimes when you go over to ball handling, it's just, hey, it's just it's the running back and the quarterback, and they're doing that, but we're putting guys over there, make a read, we're making a second pitch, we're swiping at the ball, we're doing all those things to make sure we put him in a situation to be successful.
Again, a lot of words there, but a very informative answer from Dowell Loggins in terms of right now a play that seems to be giving a simple play that seems to be giving South Carolina issues.
A routine play.
Routine.
The only reason why I say it's not simple is because anytime you have more than one person handling the ball, there's an opportunity for things to go wrong.
Okay.
But it is routine because in order for this offense to go, you have to be able to do this, and you cannot put the ball on the ground, as Dowell Loggins stated. And so they're going to have to continue to do this, because it's not as if you can say, well, we fumbled twice in 2 games, and let's take that out. Because if you take the zone read out, that eliminates a lot of what makes Lenoris Sellers effective and what makes this offense go. So they just have to work on it and have to continue to get it right. But as Perry pointed out yesterday, which I would not have noticed, and I don't think you noticed, we talked about it being it's a quarterback stat. The fumble goes on Lenoris or Robbie as the quarterbacks, but the common denominator in those fumbles was Rocket Sanders as the running back, because he just takes more snaps or whatever the case is. But they have to work on that, and Rocket and the quarterback have to do their parts.
803-404-6100. Josh Harris of Darlington Raceway will join us next. It'll be the Corley Pool Solutions Pick'em, but I leave you with this. Ron from Lake Marion says gas logs and tankless water heater starting this morning, but the garage door has entered the portal. And then Tyler brings up something that somehow we got on a discussion yesterday. He says our 24-year-old ceiling fan appears to have a career-ending injury. Thoughts and prayers. Is that the first way you notice that your electricity is out, is the ceiling fan stops? Does anybody else do that? Like if you're laying in bed at night and you just...
That's rough. Usually for me it's the clock. I'll just see the clock and the lights were out. But yeah,
you hear the fan, you're like,
I can see that happening. My question with this garage door, I need a follow-up text. Were you stuck in or out?
Yeah, right.
Because
it's easier to get out than get in, because you can at least unlock
it.
Thing.
Okay, yeah. I just need to know, were you stuck in or out, because that's a tough one. You hit that button, nothing.
And that right there is the difference between Jen and I, because if my car is in the garage and the power went out, I'd be like, sorry, I can't go anywhere. Can't make it.
Geez.
Where do you need me to go? Nah, not happening. I'm going back to the bed. Sorry, garage door is out.
I need a follow-up text on that. Stuck in or out?
Jen's the one who's brilliant enough to be like, oh, just pull the lever. Just pop it on up. I'd be like, nah, sorry, can't make it. It's you and Preston on today's show.
If you have problems, call me.
Yeah, it's story of my life. 803-404-6100. Josh Harris, Darlington Raceway, up next. Bill Gunner for AAA Heating and Air. We've been talking about things that might have been on the fritz a little bit this morning, things that are questionable, probable, doubtful. Maybe your heating and air unit system is one of those. But great news for you. AAA Heating and Air right now has both an incredible offer, 12 months, no interest, no payments if you purchase a brand new heating and air system today. You heard that right. 12 months, no interest, no payments. That means you will not pay a dime until October of next year. But on top of that, if your heating or air unit is on the fritz and not working, and you think it's one of the oldest heating and air units in the Midlands, you could win a new one. That's right. Go to myoldestair.com. AAA Heating and Air right now has a contest going on. If you have the oldest heating and air unit here in the Midlands, you could win a brand new heating and air unit. Go to myoldestair.com. Sign up today. For every 100 entries, they will be pulling a random winner. myoldestair.com. Go there. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
Things should be getting back to normal traffic-wise. I-26 westbound after exit 125. Earlier accident had things slow, but that has been cleared, so traffic should be getting back to normal. We do have an accident Western Lane at Broad River Road in Lexington. Old Cherokee Road at Old Chapin, an accident there. Leapart Road near Chris Drive. Industrial Drive at South Lake Drive, an accident. And I-26 eastbound around Harbison Boulevard, exit 103. And one more that just popped up, I-77 northbound at 12th Street, and that would be exit 2 on I-77 northbound. 65 for that high today, our overnight low of 39, and then tomorrow starts warming up a little bit, 72 tomorrow, 74 on Saturday. Still great weather for the South Carolina State Fair.
.35 as we roll along. Joined as we are each and every Thursday by our good buddy, Josh Harris, Darlington Raceway president. And want to remind you, coming up Saturday, October 26th, it'll be Trucks and Treats. Wear your favorite costume. I guess everybody wear your favorite costume. Parents, children, but wear your favorite costume and join them for Trucks and Treats presented by the Junior League of Florence at the track Too Tough to Tame. So that means you can go out to Darlington Saturday, October 26th. No game for South Carolina that weekend, so even if you're here in Columbia, you can make the short trip down to Florence. It'll be from 9 a.m. to noon. Trucks and Treats will turn the Darlington Raceway infield into a place for people of all ages to touch, climb, and explore a wide variety of vehicles from the PD. There will be food vendors, craft tables, lots of candy, other amusements on site. Tickets are just $5. Kids 2 and under are free. And if you have a child that may be a little sensitive to noise, there is a horn-free hour from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Again, a horn-free hour, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Costumes are encouraged but not required. So that's pretty cool there. And welcoming us in is a kid himself, Josh Harris. Look forward to that event. Sounds like a lot of fun there on Saturday, October the 26th.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. It's, kids and adults love big trucks, your first responder vehicles, and you combine it with a little bit of Halloween candy, dressing up, and it's a great way to kick off the weekend, heading into Halloween the following week during the week. So we'll be excited to have some people out, some local people, anyone in the community, anyone in the region that wants to come out, bring their kids, have a good, fun morning before you kick off the rest of your weekend.
Which also means 2 weeks from today will be Halloween, and we will ask you to be prepared because we will be asking what your favorite costume you wore growing up as a kid will be. So please be prepared for that. Yes. The Halloween on a Thursday, that's going to be a fun show. I'm already kind of ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
Are you dressing up in studio?
We should.
We do have a
Preston's
live
head is nodding vigorously.
I think we should.
Okay. There you go.
Since there's a visual component, I think we need to do that.
Okay. Great. Thanks, Josh.
Bill's going to have to pick a different mask than the one he usually wears.
Always appreciate your insight each and every week. Fantastic.
Yay, Preston.
Let's get to last week. We closed out the round of 12. We are now into the round of 8. Jen, I'll start with you. Biggest surprise on who did not make it?
Yeah, well, I would say Bowman at this point, but that was just because he was taken out because of an issue with the weight, and he was disqualified. So the fact that I really thought he would be in the round of 8, but he is not now. So that, I think, qualifies as my biggest surprise. I really felt like somehow Logano would get in, so I'm glad he got in. But I hate it that, for Hendrick and for Bowman, that's how they are not in anymore.
Josh, where do you go with biggest surprise? I mean, you got a couple here. You heard Jen mention Bowman. You got Austin Cindric, who did not get in, Ty Gibbs, Martin Truex Jr. I guess I was going with more of just big picture who you thought might have slipped into this final round.
Yeah, I mean, I think, aside from Bowman and what happened there, I was hoping, just for the purposes of it's his last season, I was really hoping to see Martin Truex make a run here towards the end, but just wasn't in the cards, didn't get out of the first round, and I don't think there were any huge surprises necessarily in the second round, going from the round of 12 down to the round of 8. I think we've got probably the 8 or 9, 8 of the 9 best, most consistent cars throughout the season that have made it this far. So not a huge surprise.
No, I would agree. Cindric and Suarez, had decent season. Cindric ended up having a win. He's been increasingly doing better this season. But as far as for playoffs, I didn't really see Cindric or Suarez really going too far. Briscoe, I think he could have been a little bit of a surprise in there. But yeah, I think we have a solid 8 here, and getting down to that 4 that's where it's going to be interesting.
Speaking of that, 4 races left here. We'll be in Las Vegas, and we'll get to those picks here in just a second. What are y'all looking for here over the next few weeks, is now with just 4 races to go? Who is someone you're keeping an eye on? I just went with maybe, I don't want to say disappointment, but Jen, I'll start with you. Someone you're really keeping an eye on now as we go into these final 4 races.
I think we keep an eye on Larson. He's kind of doing a trajectory, I can't say that, but similar to previous when he won last time, the entire series. So I think he's someone to watch. I kind of think, Byron may be somebody to watch as well. So I don't see Hamlin getting into the Final 4. I hate to break that to you.
He's at 6th, and what is it? Well, it all starts back over. Or it doesn't start back over, but if I'm understanding this correctly, and Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, you got Byron is in the 4th spot, and if I'm understanding it correctly, you got Hamlin is just 8 points behind him going to Las Vegas. Right now, for those wondering, Kyle Larson leads Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, and William Byron. That's your top 4. Blaney, Hamlin, Chase Elliott, and Joey Logano round out the top 8. Who do you keep your eye on, Mr. Harris?
Well, I'm probably gonna disagree with Jen a little bit, and not trying to suck up here to you, but I'm curious more than anything if Denny Hamlin and their team have just been playing a strategy of get to the round of 8 and then put the hammer down. I think they had speed, obviously, really early in the season. He got 3 wins early. They've kind of, they've worked their way through the season without a whole lot of, success, just winning races. So I'm curious, with 2 mile-and-a-half tracks and a short track that he's, is in his hometown, his backyard. I think you're going to see the 11 car jump in there to the Final 4, which means somebody else is gonna be out that we may be looking at. So I'm keeping my eye on him, and I'm also keeping my eye on Joey, since he got in the playoff, or continued in the playoffs this round. He's been strong at Las Vegas. He's been good at Homestead. So I'm curious to see how the 22 fares now that he's still got life.
I think that's quite the storyline that it could be, because he doesn't get in, but then gets in because of a technicality. So it could be really fun to see him propel to the finish and do really well.
All right. It is the Corley Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge. Josh will be happy to know the trophy. It's we can all look at it right now. It's just over here. It's now in studio. It has made its way from the Gunner House.
Dusty, but it's here.
Someone is going to complain just about anything and everything she can ever find to complain about. But the trophy is here in studio.
It is.
Needs to be updated with Reggie's name on it. And we are trying to keep Reggie's name off of it for a 3rd consecutive year. Is that right? Am I right?
I think so.
Second or 3rd. Anyway, Reggie has jumped back out in the lead, 3 points over Preston. 111 for Reggie, 108 for Preston. Josh, kind of back there, 104. Jen had a big week last week. Kyle Larson was her pick. She won. She is now 4 points ahead of me, meaning I have the last pick. He let me know. We actually had a good week last week. Hamlin was 13th, and I finished last. Hamlin was 13th. We picked our drivers were all in the top 13. I want Denny Hamlin.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I need to sit down. Right? Oh, okay.
All right. Now that that's out of the way, that takes us to Jen.
All right. I'm going to say Tyler Reddick.
Okay. Good pick.
Uh-oh. Apparently that's who Preston won.
That stinks, Preston.
But Josh is next.
Jen is, yeah. I mean, come on, Jen. He's in contention, and you're taking his picks. Try and read the room a little bit.
I'm
Josh,
taking Tyler's pick.
Josh, who are you taking?
Well, I didn't think he would be around to take, and I don't know that it's wise to pick a guy to win a track 3 times in a row, but I also don't want to let this guy get to Reggie's pick and then him end up winning, so I'm going to take Kyle Larson.
Oh, good choice.
Yep.
Good choice.
Solid. Oh, man. Poor Preston.
Oh, look at this. We're playing some pick defense here. Preston, who are you going with?
Give me William Byron.
There you go.
All right, and that brings us to is this Reggie's number 1 pick?
It is actually Reggie's number 1 pick, and ironically, it is a man who grew up in Norman, Oklahoma. That'd be Christopher Bell.
Christopher Bell. There you go, folks.
So.
It is. We are coming down to the wire. Reggie out 3 points ahead of Preston, 7 points ahead of Josh, 11 points ahead of Jen, and I'm just back there doing. I've just gone to my Hamlin strategy, my Hamlin Hail Marys each and every week. Josh, we always appreciate it, buddy. Hope you have a great weekend, and we look forward to catching up with you next Thursday.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Take care. All right, there's our Corley Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge. The trophy is back in the studio. Can look at it right over there. Got to get Reggie's name on it from last year, and we will continue on. 4 races left, and we will wrap up in Phoenix. Phoenix is where we finish that. We'll come back, and we'll wrap up this program. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing, where for nearly 30 years, Mid-State Roofing, Larry Leitner and the family have been the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. And it's that history that is your assurance that their professionals will provide proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility. And they'll do it in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. With those recent storms rolling through, wherever you may have experienced them, Augusta, Columbia, Greenville, somewhere Spartanburg, you might have noticed some roof damage to your business, to your home. Mid-State Roofing is ready to help. From high-rises to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Mid-State Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that keeps that operation dry and running long into the future. Most importantly, they do it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It doesn't matter when you give them a phone call. You'll speak with an on-call technician or a Mid-State Roofing employee. 803-356-1919. Call Mid-State Roofing today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. Reminder, coming up tonight, you can hear the Shane Beamer Carolina Calls with Shane Beamer and Todd Ellis right here at 107.5 The Game, 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. And also want to remind you, go to our 107.5 The Game website for the Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest. If South Carolina scores a special teams touchdown this weekend, someone will pocket $700. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and make a prognostication. I think South Carolina fakes a field goal or scores a special teams touchdown this weekend. I don't think Shane Beamer would ever publicly express concern or doubt in his field goal kicker or his punter, but this is a game this week where maybe you try and steal 7 points and fake a punt, let Kai Kroger throw a pass. The question, I'm not being mean on this, is Joe DiCamillo, we haven't talked about it. The loss of Pete Lembo on multiple levels appears to be very, very significant. Those people like, who cares? You lost your special teams coach. We knew it. The loss of Pete Lembo, and I don't think Joe DiCamillo has done anything awful, mind you.
Well, there's a big difference between this goes back to being an NFL coach.
Right.
NFL special teams are taught to get out the way, do the thing, don't hurt the team. It's not actually an advantage in the NFL. It's just a push that we don't want anything bad to happen, whereas Pete Lembo and Shane Beamer and Beamer Ball is you want good things to happen on special teams.
Yeah.
So I think that's a little bit of a different philosophy.
I'm going to predict they'll fake something and go for a touchdown, and I'll be positive about it and say that they will get their touchdown. So you may want to go on over to 1075thegame.com and sign up for the Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest. If South Carolina scores a special teams touchdown this weekend, we will pull a winner. And
Can you tell the coaching staff like our previous caller could, or do you have that direct line?
I'll have to call into Carolina Calls tonight.
Right. Make sure you get that call.
Have to make that phone call. Hey, fake a field goal, fake a. There's questions about this. Can the offense consistently move the ball? You go back to the end of last week, and South Carolina was moving the ball on Alabama. Some of it was hurried up because of the end of the game situation, but South Carolina was moving the ball. Now, I know Alabama's defense has become suspect all of a sudden, and they get Tennessee this week. It'll be kind of fun tomorrow, Preston, to really get into some of these games. Georgia, Texas this coming week, Tennessee, Alabama, some of the big games. Kentucky, Florida's a massive one, and it feels like it's massive for both coaches. Like Kentucky's not Alabama. Let's be clear about that. But their fan base isn't particularly thrilled about getting beat by Vanderbilt either.
Yeah, also specifically once I saw that Mark Stoops, how much money Stoops makes?
Is he top? I saw this.
Top 10.
It's top 10, and I felt like it was right around 5. It's not like it's not closer to 10 than it is to 5.
A lot. And it's like, okay, that seems interesting. So yes, pressure's on.
And quite frankly, you can take it as an insult if you want. What I saw from Kentucky this week is they're like, how do we lose to South Carolina and Vanderbilt in the same year?
Good point.
At home. At home was their anger, too.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not in a Kentucky. We talk about other fan bases right now. There's not a lot of fan bases really in a good place, is there? We might have to have that some segment tomorrow on fan bases and being in a place. But going back to South Carolina, you look at their final drives, their second half drives, touchdown, then a 3-and-out punt, but then the fumble right after the interception, a 9-play 42-yarder for a missed field goal, and then a touchdown before the final 3 plays of the game that led to the interception. But they've moved the ball. But I think this week, if you get stalled out, and especially if it's kind of at the 40, don't line up. And if Oklahoma's lined up expecting the fake, kick the field goal. But if you get that look, they say as you won't, fake it.
I'll say when they get stalled out because they will, and that'll happen. I wonder what the decision-making process will be. What you said over-under for the game was 41?
41. Preston Thorne's kind of game. We'll get into that a lot tomorrow. We'll talk a lot about that game, our keys to the game, talk about the national look around. Lou Bezjak will join us as well. Maybe Brian Edwards, a Vegas insider, as he was out. Game time decision, we ruled him out today, and a couple of y'all weighing in. The co-pilot weighs in and says, my air conditioning is probable, but fortunately I used an air conditioning trainer in college and will be able to shoot it up for this weekend's game.
There you go. Shoot it up.
Stephen in Roanoke, and I bet it's chilly up there in Virginia. He says, I only have 20 minutes to walk the dog, and the dog keeps faking a hamstring injury to waste time.
Yes, especially when they're chill, they don't want to go out.
And Matt Matt understands the program because apparently we're dressing up. in 2 weeks for Halloween. Spirit Halloween has some more mature but youth sizes available for Ville.
Score.
I love all of y'all. I love all of y'all. Come back tomorrow. Fine.
Hey, it's Jen for CHW Cabinetry in Lexington, and all that demolition we had to do in the kitchen sent us to CHW Cabinetry, and they helped us figure out new kitchen cabinets. And the experience was great. Once we got everything picked out, the photorealistic rendering gave us an image of our finished kitchen before it was actually finished. And then when you have to go find things like, flooring and backsplash and countertops, we had a picture of our kitchen that we could take to go do all that. That was great. But they do more than kitchens. If you've got a closet, maybe a bedroom closet that needs to be a little bit more functional, want to replace some of those wire hanging racks, get some drawers put in there, they can help you with all that. We recently had to replace a bathroom cabinet upstairs, and they were perfectly helpful in that experience as well. And if you're looking even to create a home office, okay, that's the place you need to go. Once again, chwcabinetry.com. Visit them or call them today at 803-520-6837. Be sure to tell them that Jen Jensen sent you. Locally owned, women-owned business, CHW Cabinetry, passion from inspiration to installation.